actually spearheading and teaching these classes over this next quarter. Appreciate you tuning in this morning. This is the beginning of another new series of the beginner intermediate class. We like to
Well,
restart
good
these sessions
Wednesday
at the top
morning,
of every quarter
everyone.
and
Glad to be
last for
on
roughly
board
about
with
three
you
months,
today
13 weeks or
for
so.
our beginning
And so if you're
intermediate
brand new to the
class as
program, or
we
if you're just wondering how to get
are
started,
starting a
if you're
new
just wanting to
series.
kind of a
We
refresher even,
do
well, you're in
every
exactly the right
quarter
spot. That's what we'll do
restart
today,
this
is just kind of
series
get you
and
up and running
go
with
over
the
just
program and
basically
outline an
some of the beginner
educational map
stuff
for
in
you, a
with
roadmap, if you will,
the
regarding
platform, the
your
program,
investing plan and as well as the
kind of
education
helping
plan. And
everybody get a little
certainly
bit
what I'd
more
like to do is open it up
comfortable
for
and
questions too,
feeling
and kind of make this more
like
of a
they can
live
use the
Q&A to
information
some
that they
degree, just
are
to make sure that
learning
you get your
with
questions
your
answered
for
to
your
help you
own
get you up and
investing
running in
and
no time.
trading
So
strategies.
let's
So
go ahead and begin. These classes
glad to
always
be on
start
board. My
at
name's Gary
half past the
Edmonds.
hour, at
Appreciate
10:30 a.m.
Rob
Eastern
sticking with
time.
me
So
last week
I'll
as
be
I
just
was
teaching
out of
today,
the
but then for
office.
the
I was
rest of the
out of,
quarter, you should have
actually
Gary
out of the country.
that'll be back here next week
I was
teaching
in the
that for you.
Dominican
So
Republic in
let's
Punta
start.
Cana.
As always
So
customary
enjoying
with
some
these
time
sessions, we first have to remind
down
you about a
there
few
with my
disclosures.
wife
So bear
and
with me as we let you know that anything we talk about
hot
today
though. Oh
is
my
just for
goodness, hot,
educational and
90 like
informational
90
purposes only.
degrees
These
and
are not buy or sell
90%
recommendations.
humidity when we were down
All
there.
investments
But it
involve
was a
risk,
good
and
time.
past
But
performance does
glad to
not
be back
guarantee
here
future
as we get
results.
moving forward
Unstoppable
here
Prosperity and Charles Payne are
with
not giving investment, tax,
our
legal, or other
class today.
professional advice.
But before we do
Unstoppable
jump in
Prosperity
and
retains
get
all
moving
titles,
forward,
interest,
I am going
and
to
intellectual
go
property
through our
rights of the
disclosures really
material
quick,
provided and contained
as
herein.
we do
The
at the
terms of
beginning
Unstoppable
of every
Prosperity,
class.
Payne's
So folks,
Education, Wall Street
remember that this
Strategies, and other
presentation is
logos or
for
trademarks
educational and
cannot be used
informational
without express
purposes
written permission.
only. All
Charles
investments
Payne's
involve
experiences are
risk, and
not
past
typical. His
performance of
results do not
anything in the
guarantee future
market
success.
does not
And finally,
guarantee
Unstoppable
future
Prosperity is
results.
not endorsed by or affiliated with Fox Business.
Unstoppable
Making
Prosperity
money with
and
Charles
Charles
Payne is the
Payne are
property of
not
Fox
giving
News
investment,
Network,
tax, legal, or
LLC.
other professional advice.
All right. Well,
Companies
if you are brand new to
associated with
the
Payne's
program,
education are
here are my credentials
licensed.
just by way of introduction.
So
Again,
we
my name is
do
Rob
not
Weiler. I've been here for
and
just over three and
cannot
a half years.
give
We've come a
recommendations
long ways from when
to
I
buy
first
or
started. We
sell
didn't
anything.
have
If
really
you
that
see
many
something that you like
classes
in
and
one of
really
our
no
classes, please
structure, and
make sure you do your
didn't
own
know what to
research and
practice
analysis
with
on
and
it
so forth. And
to
so
see how
we
it fits
kind
your
of laid the
investing
groundwork of how
strategies.
to
Unstoppable Prosperity
go about
retains
this
all
education
titles,
that'd be
interest,
most
and
helpful for
intellectual
our
property
students.
rights of the
So
material
you'll
provided
see
and may
me and
not be
find
used
me in
without
the
express written
intermediate advanced
consent.
classes that I
The
teach on
terms
Thursdays. I
Unstoppable
alternate now with
Prosperity, Payne's
once with Gary,
education,
but
Wall
now it'll be
Street
with Greg.
strategies, and other
And
marks or
so you can
logos
catch me
displayed
there
on its
next Thursday.
websites or other
Certainly,
communications may
if
not be
anything I
used
could do to
without
help you
express
out
written
over
consent.
time, by
Charles
all means,
Payne's
I hope to get
experiences
to
are
meet
not
you and work
typical.
with you,
His
and
results
certainly
are not
help
a
you out any
guarantee
way
of
that I
your
can.
success.
All right.
Unstoppable
So in this
Prosperity is
class, this
not
is
endorsed
getting
by or
started with
affiliated
investing,
with
kind of the
Fox
very beginning.
Business.
In fact, if I share
Making
with you
money
my
with Charles
desktop
Payne is the
here, let me
property
just
of
bring up,
Fox News Network
come into our Payne's
LLC.
Education site here.
All right, folks.
If I can
So just
find it.
giving you a bio for
Here we are. So
you
I'm just logged into
veterans. You
Payne's
know who I
Education,
am.
and I
For
go in
you new
underneath the quick
people,
links and
you'll
come
get to
down to our
know
stock investing
us. So
live classes.
glad
And right now
as
we're
the
underneath the
instructor.
beginner
So glad to have
intermediate
you on board.
class.
Again, my name's
And
Gary Edmonds.
so you'll see
This
that
is some
today we're
brief
starting
information
over.
from
It's the
me.
first class of the new
I've been
series. We're
trading
starting getting started with
for a
investing.
long time.
Now, if
I've
you're
been
impatient like
teaching
me and
for a
didn't want to
long
wait to go
time,
through all these
and I
classes,
enjoy
then you
all
can start at the
aspects
very
of
bottom
the
here. We will
market. So
keep
it's
the
good to
classes that
do
Greg
it
taught
and good
starting
to
back
be able
in
to have
July,
a
where
part
he
of
had
it
his first
as
series
well,
here, and you'll
folks.
see it's the same topic,
So
and then just
let's get
goes on to
into
the next
our
topic. And
agenda
so
for
I'm sure Gary
today.
will probably do the
Okay,
same thing I
so
know I do, but I
basically
generally
we're
like
going to
to
be going
have
over a little bit
kind of a
more of
natural
the
progression of
Thinkorswim
things from
desktop
one chapter or
software,
one lesson to the
and we'll
next.
talk about
And so
the
next week,
most
most
common and
likely,
most
Gary
basic
will be talking
tabs
about,
that we'll be
again, some of the
using, such as the
basics with
monitor
Thinkorswim that we go
tab,
over
the
inside
chart
our
tab, the
quick start
trade
program.
tab.
But like I say, if
Then
you didn't want to wait, you could
we'll
always
get
start from
into
here and review
maybe
these
creating and
archived
showing you how to
classes and
create
just
some
take it
watch
one
lists.
step at a time.
Now again,
I've often
one of the
said you have to
processes,
walk
and I'm
before you
sure
run, but there's a natural progression
Rob
from one
brought this up
chapter, one
last
topic
week
to the next that
as
you
he
can go
filled in for
through.
me.
That'll
But
just kind of
the
keep building
purpose
up upon
of
itself
these
until
beginner
finally
intermediate
you get to
classes,
the
again,
end
we
here where
will
we
kind
talked
of
about
have
swing trading. And
a
so
design of
that's what
what
we'll
we
do
will
today.
be
We'll kind of
doing every
review
week,
again what's up in front
and
for you
what
here,
we're
and certainly
going
help
to
you to
try
develop
to do
a
and
nice
accomplish
roadmap of
throughout
what to do next to get
the
started with the
next
program. So
3 months
on
here
today's agenda, then we'll show
is
you how to
build
maximize
upon
resources available in
each
Payne's
subsequent
education.
class that
We'll
we've
discuss some of
had,
your
right?
investing
So
objectives, maybe maybe
this
show maybe a
class,
trade or two just to show you how we
hopefully
apply that
will
information. But then what
be
I'd like to
part of
do,
the
and this
foundation
isn't
for
on
what we'll
the
be talking about next week. And then
topics
that
there
class will be
on the
the
program, but
foundation of what we
I
talk about
generally
the
what I like to do
following
with my
week, and so on
students
and
is just
so
open
forth.
it up
So
for any questions that you
you're
might have regarding the
building
paints
a
education.
good solid
Save your questions like for reviewing
way
stocks
to
and that for
help
the
you
live
invest
Q&A.
and
But
help you
if you need
look at
help as far
things
as
and
with Think or
use
Swim or with what to do
basically
next or
use
what
your
progression you should have, then
information and all
definitely
the
this would be an
resources
opportunity
that
to
you
be able to
do
chat
have.
in those questions to
So,
talk about
I'll
that.
show you
So
how,
we'll go through just
at
a few
least
slides here to
physically
begin with,
on
but
the
if you've
Think
worked
or
with me in the
Swim
past, you know that I tend to be very
desktop, how to
interactive. I'd
create
much
a
rather,
watch list, meaning how to
answer
open it
your
up and
questions
put stocks
and show you a
into
few
it.
things, maybe look over the
Next week,
market, see what's
we
happening, and show
will
you how
go
we really
over
kind of go through a routine when we're investing
how to
on a daily
create and
basis.
find
So,
stocks and put those
so let's
into a
start there
watch
then.
list.
So
So
a few
just kind of
questions I
keeping
want to address right at
that
the
in
very
mind
beginning here,
for
things that you
next
should
week. And
consider
then,
too.
if you have some
And that would be, what are
basic
you looking for
questions
through
on the
participating
Think
in
or Swim
paints education,
we will
and
definitely
what investing
I
experience
will
did you
try
have
to
prior
address
to
those
coming
for
here?
you.
What results
Now
were you
again,
getting?
folks,
So
remember
let
one
me just
thing, and
pose
I'll
that
point
question to
this
you
out all the
as well.
time.
Chat in with me and tell me,
We are
how many of you,
not
chat in and say me if you're
Thinkorswim.
brand new to the program, or if you're not,
Okay,
if you've traded before or not. Just
we are
answer yes or
not
no if you've
Thinkorswim.
traded before or not.
Okay,
If this is
it's not our
something new for
platform.
you, if you're
We
brand
just
new,
use it in our
or if
classes
it's
because we want
or
to
if this is something
be
that you've already done in the past.
very
So
well
if you've traded before,
have the
say yes. If
same
you've not, then say
front
no.
in our
And
classes.
just
You know,
trying
it'd
to
be
see
kind of
some
a
of
little
the answers here. I'm
confusing
seeing a
if you
lot of
go to
resounding
one
yeses,
class
and
and
that's
one
great.
instructor's
But
using
believe it or not,
one
there are a few no's here, and I
tool, and you
like
go to
that,
another
and that's the reason why I
class and
asked this. Is
different
that if you
instructors
are
using a
in the
completely
field where you're
different,
like, well, no, I'm
tool
pretty new. I've not
for
really done
things.
much trading in the
So we wanted
past, or
to put
kind of new to
forth
investing, and you feel
a
like
very
maybe you're the only
unified
person here
way
that
of
doesn't
looking
know
at
what's
things,
going
and so
on.
we
Well,
chose
you're
to use
not,
the
right? You're in
Thinkorswim
very good
platform here.
company.
So
And
if you do
what I
have
really
any
love
issues,
about
you
our
do have any
students is that
questions
we've got a great community here that helps each other
about the
out.
platform,
And I encourage
above
you,
and beyond
to,
just some of the basic
befriend
things that
your other
we're
fellow
talking
students
about
that
and looking at,
you'll find in our classes,
then
especially the
please
live
go
Q&A
ahead and,
classes
and
that
reach out
they'll be
to
glad to help give their
Thinkorswim
insights
and
and
get those issues
discuss what's
resolved,
helped them
get
out with
those
the education and how to go
questions
through
that you
things. And
have,
so don't be
because that'll
shy
be
about
very, very helpful
reaching out
for
to your
you.
neighbor, if you will,
Okay,
and they'll be
with
more than
that,
happy to
first
help
and
out. And I
foremost,
appreciate our veteran students who do
let me
choose
go
to
ahead and
help
pull up the
out
Thinkorswim
and
Paper Money
kind of
platform. Now,
um,
again,
you know
we do
build
not
others up and try to pick them up, and
recommend
realize that we're all in
or
this
are
together,
affiliated
and
with
that's
any
what we're here to do.
broker.
So, but the
If
reason why we ask those
you
questions is, yeah, I'm
want
often curious,
to
what is it that you'd like to
have a real
get out of the
account with
education? And so, let's have you
Thinkorswim,
chat that in too.
Schwab,
What's one of your overall objectives,
Fidelity,
just in a
any
one
of
or
the
two word
brokers, you can choose
format?
to have
What are
it
you
there.
looking
Okay,
for,
so
or to
we're
get
not
out
saying
of
that you have to go
being
out
here?
and
Why
open
are
up
you
an
here?
account here.
What is it that you'd like to
But
accomplish with
Thinkorswim,
going
folks,
through this education?
let me just kind of point this out. Now, some of you probably know this
I
already,
think the easy one, like Tom says, is make
but the
money, right?
Thinkorswim
Yeah, it's
platform,
certainly my
when it
goal
was
too.
first
That's the ultimate
created,
goal, you know. So it's kind of a means to an
20
end.
some odd
How do we
years
go about
ago,
doing that? What are we doing to make that
it was
money? And so,
created
love some of these answers here.
by
Escape
very
managed
active
accounts. I
option
like that.
traders
I will tell you that I've had a
for
lot of
very
students
active option
who,
traders.
after completing the program,
Okay, how many of you have
they've
heard that
basically more or
before or
less
knew
fired
that?
their money
It's a
manager. Now, I
very
certainly don't
robust
advocate that, at least
platform
from the very
created by
beginning. But
very
I
active
remember I had
option
one
traders
student who told me he looked
for
over his
very
statements,
active option
and over the
traders.
last 5 years, he found out his
Okay,
broker was maybe
so a
making
lot
around
of
2 or
things on the
3%.
Thinkorswim
I'm
platform
thinking,
is
well,
kind
what's
of
inflation doing
geared
right now?
to that
It's much higher than
mentality.
that.
Now, over
So
the
technically, he's even
years,
losing money, even with the 2 or 3%
Thinkorswim has been bought
return.
out
And I
by
get it. Maybe
different
the guy was just
companies.
trying
I
to
was
manage
working
risk and
for
not take any
the first company
major
that bought
investments.
out
But this guy was
Thinkorswim
able to prove. The
many
student was
years
able to prove
ago.
to himself that
And
he could
so,
do this, that he could make certainly a much better
Rob
return than
and
that.
Greg
And to
also,
me, that makes
our
sense
other two
because,
instructors,
quite frankly,
were
let's
part
face
of
it,
that
nobody
same
really looks
company.
out
So
for your
we're
own money
familiar
better
with
than you.
Thinkorswim and
In
using
other
it
words, you have
and
your
things
own
along
best
that
interest
line.
in mind.
But
Now, I used to be an investment
so
consultant many
you
years ago,
might
and so I think there are
wonder,
a lot of great
what does this
consultants
stuff
out there
mean?
that
What
are
does that stuff
fiduciaries
mean? It
that are
doesn't
trying
seem
to
to
look out for
really
your best
fit with
interest.
stock
But
trading.
I'll be the first to
But
admit that I had over
over the
300
years,
clients in
they've
my
kind
book.
of
And there are
taken
only
it
so
and
many trading
modified
days
it
in
a
a
little bit
year,
more
right?
to
So
have
really,
a
honestly, how much
broader
time could I
appeal.
devote to
Okay.
each individual client? So no wonder they generally just tend
And
to stick you in a bunch of loaded
make it
mutual
so
funds and
people
call it
who might
good,
just be
right?
trading
So
stocks
to
or
me, I
other
think
things
taking
that
more of
aren't
an
quite
active
as
approach to your
volatile as
investing
options trading
is certainly
can feel
better. And that's why
comfortable
I'm glad
in
you're here. It tells
using
me
it.
that you're willing to take that
As we
active
always
approach as
talk
well.
about with the
Okay.
platform, right?
Better
There's
understanding
nine tabs that run across
the
the top
process,
here.
protect my assets, and build wealth. That's
You
a great
just
answer
spend your
from John.
time in these three
Exactly. I agree
tabs: the
completely with
monitor
that.
tab, the chart
Maybe
tab,
learn
and the
more about
trade tab.
fundamental
You
analysis.
can use it
We see
very
a lot of this
efficiently,
data
very
out there. How can I know if this is a
effectively.
good
Gary
company to
said,
own or not? And that's what I
currently Schwab is
appreciate about
scheduling
Charles too, is that he
Thinkorswim
follows a
training. Is it
process. We're
for
not just
them
out
or
there
is it for the
guessing and
Schwab
gambling and throwing darts.
clients?
There's a
So
system
you
to
kind
this.
of have to wonder,
And
right?
that's my overall goal
So
too for all of
Schwab
you,
bought
is that
out
over time, we want to help
the
you
platform.
develop
Well,
your own
actually,
system, to
as I
have your
said,
own
I
process.
worked for the
Now,
company
if you don't
that
have one, then yeah, it's good
originally
to
bought
follow
out
somebody
Thinkorswim,
else that you trust,
and then
but
the
take it with a
company that
grain
I
of
worked for
salt.
got bought out by
It
TD
doesn't have to
Ameritrade,
be
which then
the end all. What I mean
because
by
of
that is
had
that
Thinkorswim, and
I
now
get ideas
Charles
from all
Schwab
sorts of
bought
places.
out
I see
TD
it on
Ameritrade,
TV, I
and
read
will have
articles.
charge of Thinkorswim as well.
People must know that
And
I'm in this business
usually
because I get all sorts
when
of
a company
newsletters in the
buys
mail
out
that
the
I never
Thinkorswim
asked for,
platform, they kind of
wanting
create
my
their
money,
own
right?
little
Telling me these hot, quote,
version
hot
of it
stock
as
tips.
well.
And
We'll
I
see
found long ago,
what
most of those
Schwab
hot
does
stock
with
tips aren't
it.
really hot at all. They may be hot for a day or
If
two,
they
but that's about
decide to,
it.
hopefully they
Well,
just kind of
I'm
keep their heads off and let
open-minded
us
enough
use it
that I'll
as
take
is.
all that
That's what
information.
they've been
But then
indicating
what
to
I do
do
is I
so
put it
far.
through my own criteria to make sure it meets my own
We'll
rules.
see how
And
it
over time, that's
progresses.
what I
I
want
think
you to do
everybody's
too, is develop your own
starting to be
plan, have your own set of
transferred
rules
over
so
and
that you can feel confident in what you're
to
investing in as
Schwab
well.
now. So
All right, well, these are
I
all
know
very good
my accounts will be moved
answers,
over in
and I'm confident
November.
that we can
But
fulfill all
so
these objectives that
there
many of you
might
have
be a little
chatted in,
bumps and
but it
hiccups
does take
along the
time, no
way,
doubt
folks. So
about it.
don't let that
And so how do we go
discourage you
about
or
doing this? What kind of
get
what are we expecting to accomplish? What
down
purpose
on
does
it or
that
anything
serve in
else
your
along that
overall
line.
goal?
But
Well,
for the most
uh,
part, it
while we
should do
want people to make money,
very
we've
very
never
good
once said that
transition.
that's
Okay.
our overall
Um,
objective, right? Because it's
so the monitor
impossible to
tab,
know,
trade
right, what
tab,
people are
charts tab,
trading
if
in and
that's all you're
investing in.
using on it,
Our objective is
that's
to teach
fine.
you, to train you,
That's
and that
all
we're
real you
confident
need
that
to
if you have
use if
this
you don't
knowledge,
use
that then you
anything
can put
else.
it into real
Now
life
there are
application
9
to
tabs that
where
run
the end
across the
result
top.
should be
So
that
let
you
me
are
ask
making money. And
let
if
me
you're not,
ask
okay,
you,
something's wrong,
boycott
right?
if they mess it
In
up.
fact, my
Oh,
goal
I
for
don't
all
know,
my
Gary.
students is that
But
you make
how
enough
many
money,
of
at least
you here,
to
especially
more
you
than cover the
veteran
cost of
users
your
of the
education.
Thinkorswim platform, how
And that's
many
what
of
I
you have
appreciate
actually
about this is
used
that there
all
aren't too
9
many,
tabs?
subscriptions out there that I know of where you actually get something out of it, right? That this benefits with
Okay.
results
I
and
see
returns.
some yeses.
And
I
so
see
that's what's
some
kind of nice
nos.
is
I'm
that I
seeing a
can make
lot of
something
nos. I'm
out
seeing a
of the
never.
education that I'm
Okay.
receiving from this. And so what a lot of
So
our
a
students will
couple
do is they'll
yeses
return back and
sprinkled
renew
in.
and come back and
So at
now
least
continue to
some
participate
of
and
you have
share
said
ideas and
yes.
get
Now, how
ideas as
many of you
well.
yeses?
All right. Final thing though, if you've been with us for a while,
How
what
many of you
difference has Payne's
yeses
education made in your investing and trading? So let
use
me ask some of our
them
veteran traders.
consistently?
Have you seen a difference
Maybe you say
from
yes.
what you knew when
I've
you
gone
first
into
started
the
on day
other
one to where you're at
tabs,
right now?
but how many of you now use
Chat
them
and tell me what is it that
consistently?
you've learned?
Okay.
What has helped you out the most?
John,
Now, if you're not so
fantastic. Yeah,
sure,
7 out of 9 CM.
it's
Yes,
interesting.
says
If you're on
Gary.
this side of
Okay, good. So
the
see, that's the thing
presentation,
about
I
it.
see it
You can do
firsthand
some more
because I recognize a
things
lot of beginning names, and then they've been with
for
us for
whatever
several
you
months,
are
maybe even
trying to do and
years.
whatever you're
And
trying
then later on, they'll ask
to
these questions, and I was like,
accomplish
wow,
through the
that's a very
platform.
good
Again, there's
question.
a lot
And
of
so you
things.
may
There's
not
a
see the
lot of
progression because it's
information.
so
Sometimes it can be
gradual, but we certainly
overwhelming,
see it on our end
but
as the
don't let
instructors because
that
we recognize
discourage you.
now these different
Okay.
questions that you're
If you
asking and
just
that
use
you're
those
following up on and so
those 3
forth, and the
tabs,
different ideas that you're
you
chatting
can
in and
be just
sharing
fine using
that
it. Now in our
I have to remind my
classes,
students that that you may not
sometimes
see
we
it, but
might
we
use the
certainly see it.
scan tab.
So these are great
Sometimes
answers.
we
Seeing
might
night
use
and
the
day,
market watch tab.
always learning. That's my rules too. Maybe know how to read the charts,
We
rules
might
better. We're
use
going
the
to do that
analyze
too.
tab for some
Understanding the
things.
charts,
So it doesn't
knowing
hurt
better
to
how the
get in there
markets
and click on
behave
it
and how to better
and
interact. These are all excellent
just
answers,
see
and
what
so
it
I'm pleased
is.
to hear that.
Okay.
And
Just see
certainly,
what it is.
we
So,
want to know more that that you're
as we
doing
get
well, and
moving
certainly
forward and
we're
going
to help you
through
out
this
with
and
every step of
talking
the way
about
on
this
that process.
today,
All right. Well, there's really
if you do have
kind of two
something
ends
that
of the
crops up, a
spectrum or
basic
continuum
question for you,
that we talk about, depending on
that you
what your
have,
objectives are and how best that
I'll
you
be more
learn.
than happy to address it one
So I've
way or
drawn a
the
little
other.
line here. And we have,
Either
first of all, what we
addressing it
call the
and answering
hotline
questions
service. Now,
for
for
you and
those who aren't
saying, oh,
aware, that
that's a little
Charles
bit more
Payne does
involved and in
offer
depth.
a service where he'll
Anything in
produce
depth,
these
you probably want to go out
daily
and read
reports that he'll send out
and
to you
talk
really
to
twice daily,
Thinkorswim
one
on,
in the morning,
even
one in
though
the
we might
afternoon,
know a lot about the
where
platform.
he'll talk
Again,
about what
it's
the
not
markets are
our
doing. He gives
platform. It's
an
not our
idea of
job
what
to
to be
teach
looking
you how
for,
to
what to be
use
aware of.
everything.
And then if he has an idea of what to
Kind of
trade,
keeping
he'll
that
actually
in
produce
mind.
that.
It's
And he
not
follows
that
what's called the
we
portfolio
don't want to,
approach.
but it's not
And
our
so a lot of
job to
people
teach you
like this
everything on
because,
the
well, they're just
platform.
being
Okay.
told what to
Well,
look
let's
at.
go
And I
through
admit, I mean, it's nice that he'll do a lot of the hard work where he's
and
investigating
some
these
of the
companies,
things
he's running through the
that
analysis, he's
can be
talking
very,
with these
very
people
helpful
and his
for you
team,
to
and
use
then
it
producing a list of
and
stocks
get
that we
comfortable
can feel
with it.
confident about owning.
And as I point this out
But
to
let me ask
everybody,
you,
right?
with
If
those
you do have
stocks
questions when
or
you're
with
in the
his
platform,
process or
please go
his
ahead and
system,
click on this
what
support
type of
button
strategy
right
is
here.
that
This
most
is
geared
great. I
towards?
use this all the time myself. If I have a
Are we
question
looking
about
at that more
something
shorter
or
term,
something's not
or
working,
is
I
it
need
more
to look
longer
at it,
term?
then I just click on that, bring that
Is
up,
it more of what we call a
and
day trade or swing trade, or is it? Yeah,
then
very good.
you
Maybe you're
just
chatting
create
in.
a
It's more of
support
a buy and
request
hold. We have
by
to keep
clicking on
that in
this
mind.
right
A lot of
here,
people forget that,
and
and so I just want
boom,
to set expectations
brings it
here
up.
now that
You just type in
sometimes
your
students will
question
say,
right
"Hey, Rob,
here.
I bought a stock
Down
last week and it's
below, you
already
hit
down."
send, and they're very
And I'm
good
thinking,
at
well, that was last
responding
week.
and helping you out and things
Are you
along
looking
that
to
line.
just get out
And the
right
nice
now
thing, the
after
reason
just one
I like
week?
using
And
this
so maybe they
instead of
don't
trying to,
understand that this is
instead of
not
calling them up
a
on the
get rich
phone,
quick
is if
overnight
there's an
make $1 million
issue or they
buy your
can't figure
Lamborghini
it out
scheme.
or they don't know what I'm
And
talking
if
about,
that's what you
then
want,
they
well, there are
can
plenty
remote
of
in to my
charlatans
platform
out there
and
that'll
then
sell
kind
you
of
that.
see
They're willing to take your money
what's
and then
going
sell you the
on,
dream
and
that never
a
comes
lot
about,
easier
right?
to
It's just you
work
make that
it
other
out
guy
that way.
pitch.
So just kind of
And
keeping
so
that in mind.
we've never once
That
said that,
support
hey,
is
we're going to
really
make
pretty
here to
good.
make you $1 million
Really pretty good.
overnight. I
Okay.
personally don't believe anybody that tells you that, right? They're
So,
just trying to take your money.
one of the
So realize
things
that, hey, this
that
is a long-term buy and hold
we get a lot of
strategy. So
questions on,
oftentimes
and
we're looking at strong companies from a
and I
fundamental
and
perspective,
so I
where we
know
get
that
in, and then look what's
folks,
happened with the
a
market
lot of
recently.
you are. Let me
It
go
came
back
down, it's
here
been
to
going
our
down, and so naturally a
website.
lot
A
of these
lot
stocks
of
been
you are
just
very
dragged down
familiar
with it.
for
Rats.
the
It hurts
resources
for the
that we
short
have on the
term,
Payne's
but then I
Education
remind
Center, right?
myself, well, is anything really
And if
changed
I
fundamentally
go
with this company?
to Thinkorswim
No. Okay, then I'm going to hold
information,
on
info
and allow that
tutorials
to
under
eventually
the
rise
resource
back up,
tab.
which many of them do
Okay, there
when the markets
are,
start to rally up.
well, about
Now, if you
11 or
decide, well, that's
so
not for me,
short
I don't
videos
like that.
helping you get
Well, then
comfortable
that's
with
good
some of the
news,
things in
actually,
the
because it
Thinkorswim
allows
platform.
us to realize and
Some
allows
of
you
the
to
more common
understand more
things
about yourself that
that we have.
perhaps you're
So
not
these are
geared more
great
towards a
resources.
buy and
They'll
hold
go over some
technique and strategy. Maybe you've got
good
more of a
things to help
temperament
you
towards what
kind
we
of
call a swing
customize
trading,
your
where you'd like to
platform.
take more of
Different
advantage of the
things that
shorter
you
term
can
moves and not worry about
open up and
having
think
to hold
about
on for
using
another few
and
months or
things
a few
there.
years even.
So if
Okay,
you
and that's good
haven't
because we actually
looked
provide
at
a service
any
for
of
that
these
too,
yet,
for
I
the
would say,
swing
yeah, go
trading.
ahead. Find
We
something on
teach
here
you all
that you
the
might be
above.
struggling
Okay.
with or have some questions
Now,
on.
others though would say,
You
hey,
can
maybe
certainly
I'd like
do
to do
that.
this
Or if you have
myself, so I don't have to
questions on
rely on somebody
something
else. I don't want to keep,
and you're in
paying
the
somebody else
daily
to manage my
Q&A
account or to get
classes,
ideas out there.
then
I
you
can
can certainly ask
do
your
this
question there.
myself. And if you have the
Again, as long
time
as
and
it's not too,
the discipline and the
in
willingness,
depth or
then
involved
great.
with
You can
something
basically learn to
on the
fish instead
platform.
of just getting a fish, right?
We would
And I
probably
think
still
that's the
prefer
best
that
right
to the
there. So what
Thinkorswim
I
people.
appreciate about our program is that we
All
offer
right.
really the best of
So,
both worlds is
a
that
couple things.
while
First
you're
and
learning how to
foremost,
do this and becoming
click
educated
on
with these
stuff
things,
when
you
you're
can
here.
have, these
And you're
suggestions
not going to break it.
made for you
Even if
and
you
learn
do
more
break it,
about
well, then
that.
reach out to
And then you
Thinkorswim
can
and have them unbreak it for you.
take that information
Okay.
and eventually
Now
apply it
you can
yourself
click on a bunch of
to
things
understand if this meets
and
your
modify
objectives,
it
just
and
like
do
I
some
do.
different
Okay.
things to see how
All
it'll
right.
benefit
So just have
you,
to ask
right?
what
And
balance
you
is right
know
for
that you can
you.
do this in
And
the
since you're
setup
here, I'd
right
imagine
up
that,
here at
well,
the
you're all
top. This is an
wanting to learn more about this
overall
yourself, which is great.
platform view, meaning that you can change the
All right,
color
so
of
let's
it, you
close
can
this gap.
change
What gaps
the
are we wanting to bridge and close? Do
size
we
of the
have,
fonts
is it a
and
knowledge gap
anything
I
else
found in those
along that line.
cases?
So you
Is
go to
it just maybe
setup,
fine tuning your investment
application
plan?
settings here,
Is it
folks.
just, again, trying to get different
Then
ideas? Do we
you can
have,
do
the
anything here.
knowledge
You have the
gap? Is it just wondering now
display.
that I've
You can
got the
show
knowledge, how
up,
do I apply it? I think a lot of
change
people
some
fall within
things
that range
on
at some point
anything,
where, wow, I've learned about all this
options, the
information, and
options
then they
table,
kind
look
of
and
get caught in
feels where
that,
you
what
can
I call
change
the
the
analysis
color,
paralysis trap. I don't know if
other
everybody
things
else
along
here has
that
done that
line.
before,
On the
where
startup,
now I almost know too much
you
information
can have
because
it come
then
up
I
to
look at a stock and I just
what
analyze
you were
everything out of it. And I
using the
think,
last
oh
time you
boy,
were in it.
everything
When you close
has
it
to
out, it'll
line up
bring that
perfectly.
back
All the
up.
stars have to align.
So
And
a
then I
lot
kind
of
of talk
things that you
myself
can
out of the
kind of
trade,
change
right?
here.
Well, we don't
And
want
then
to
if
do
you
that
wanted
either.
to
We
do
want to show
like
you
some
how to apply it.
notifications,
And that's what these
you can
classes are
do that,
for, to
right?
really
So
show you more
maybe if
of
you're
the
looking
real life
for a
application of how we take
particular
this information. Okay.
notification of a stock does something, then you can put
All
your
right. So what are
email
the
address
resources
in
for closing
here,
this gap? You're starting
and
here.
then
And so let me just show you this. I'll just bring up these slides. And I'm
once
going to walk through and
once
show you because I get more of the
something that you're
slides here.
looking at, right?
Okay.
Whether
So
it's whether
if
you're
you're wondering where
looking
to
for an
start, let me
order
just
that's
come back into
filled,
our Payne's
or
Education. And what I found helpful for most
some
of my
sort of
students
alert that
is
you
that if
set
you're
up that's
just flat out
triggered, it'll
brand new
send
and
you an
wondering how to
email
navigate around,
and
then
notify
certainly you
you
could start by going up to the
that
Getting
something has
Started
happened,
tabs at
that
the
you
top where
actually
we have
wanted
these
to
orientation videos
be
to kind of show you how
notified
to go
of
through
that
things. You can go
situation.
to the site tour videos that
You
my
could
boss Lori
change your
created. They're
order
very short,
defaults
but
here,
they
right?
show you how to get started,
Some of
how to
you, I
navigate around the
think
education. If
think
you
the
have
default when
access
you
to
first get into
W
Thinkorswim
Street, you can
was
go through that to show you
500,
how we again navigate
but we're
around
on
that
stocks
site. And it's
here,
just,
and
that's the
so if you
intent. It's just
wanted
to show you
to
how to get
change
familiar with
it
the website itself. But
to a
then
different
what I
number
found to
for
be
a
most
default, so
helpful
when you
is to
pull
start
up
with what
the
we
trade tab
call
and click on a
our quick
trade
start
to
classes.
do it,
So if I
it
come to our
shows up
quick links,
automatically the
it's
number
here where
of
we have a
shares
menu
there.
of all the classes. You
You
may
can
not have all
also
these different
change
things like
the
options.
number
That's
of
for our options subscribers.
increments
But
by clicking the up and
you can
down
see that we
plus and
have what
minus
we
button
call
on the
our quick
orders,
start
and it'll
steps, kind
increase
of
or
located
decrease
in
it
the
by
top
whatever it is
third
if
up
you
here.
wanted to.
As I
You
go
can
into
do the
this,
same thing if you're doing
these are
option
intended to help
trading.
get you started, where we've got
Default
4 simple
the number of
steps.
orders. I
Now, when I
think the
first
default
started
was
here,
10
we were kind of
contracts.
all over the place, and
If I'm
people were
not
just
mistaken, it's been so
going through
long
all
since
the
I opened
education
up
and
my
getting
account
lost.
years and
And
years and years ago.
my
But I think it
I'm a big
might
proponent
have
that I
been
think
10.
people
But you
learn
can
more
change those
by
as
doing,
well. Oh,
right?
10
You
says
gain
Steve.
experience and you learn through practice and so forth.
And
Pardon me.
it
So
certainly is very
I was
helpful.
very big
Now,
about,
something
hey,
I
I think we
will
should
point out,
get
and
people up and running and going in
Cindy
and
brought
putting
this
in
up,
trades
right?
much
If I go to
sooner
look
rather
and
than later.
feel
They may not know what they're doing, but you
my
learn a lot through that
platform,
experience. And
I
so
have
let's
it
get
on large.
practice. And so
Okay,
investigated
all
and found that there are only just a few
my
firms out there that even
font
offer a
size,
virtual
it's on
or
large.
practice
Okay,
account.
and I do
And one of
this
them would
just
have to be
because
TD
it's a little
Ameritrade,
bit
which
easier to
has a
see
platform
when I'm
called
teaching my
Thinkorswim
classes and things
that
along that
anybody can
line.
download and
I would
install.
say
Now, you should
don't
be aware
go,
that
very
TD
large
Ameritrade
to
has been bought
extra
out by
large,
Schwab,
because what
and they're now in the
happens,
process of
I'm going to
transitioning
show you
all their
this. I
accounts
click
over
on
into
extra
Schwab.
large
So
and look
technically,
this
by
little
the end of this
preview
year, it'll
right
be a
here.
Schwab account, but
Okay,
it's still not
just
too late
because
to still
now the
sign up
font
and
size is
use
so
a
big, it has to
Thinkorswim platform
kind
that's
of
provided through
shrink
TD
everything to
Ameritrade.
try to fit
Well,
stuff
what we
in
do in
there.
these classes,
One
they're
thing
very
I
short
found
classes, but
out,
you can
if
go in
you
and
do
first of all, get a quick introduction to the
select extra
three-pillar approach
large,
the
this
strategy, the
stuff up
system
here
that
will
Charles uses
kind
to
of
become familiar
shrink.
with
And
the
I've
rationale
noticed that
behind
the
what we're doing
setup
here. But then immediately we get you up and
disappeared.
running through
So
setting up a
if you're
paper
going
trading
extra
account.
large,
Now,
then
I
trying to
will
go back in
state
here and
right now
change
as I
it, you
click
can't
on
do it
this
from
that
here.
we're not affiliated with
Okay.
any brokerage firm. It doesn't matter to us who you trade
You
with.
don't
If you
need to
already have a
actually
brokerage firm
delete
with
the
another
app and
firm that you
reload
already use and understand and
in
like
that
it,
scenario,
great.
Cindy.
There's
Don't
no
want
reason
you
to
to have
change
to
at
delete
all.
it. Okay.
Although I will say a lot of
So,
our students, just so they
but
can follow along
it
in
does
class,
disappear,
still download and
and it
install
makes
the
it hard
software just
to
simply because
to
it's free and
see
it's available to
everything because it has
everybody.
to squish
Okay.
everything on there with the
So you'll
large
see
one.
that you can
So if you
install this
do by
information
mistake
and use
have
it at
done
least
the
for free
extra
up to 60
large or
days. Now, I can't vouch
larger,
what's going to
whatever
happen
it
with
might be,
Schwab
and it
taking it
does
over, if they'll
disappear.
change
Well, let
that
me
or
show
not.
you
But for
where you
now,
can go.
you
Let
still
me
have access
change my
to
back
this.
to
And
large.
so we use what's called the
What you can
Thinkorswim
do,
desktop
I will
platform.
go back
Okay.
here
And the reason why I bring that up is that
and
if you were to
let
go
me get
in
out
and
of
let's
this
just say
up
go to
here.
Google and start typing in
Because I'm going to
Thinkorswim,
bring up the login, all right? You
you'll
have
be
a
able to
little
see that they actually
Thinkorswim
offer more than one
login
platform.
tab
They have
here.
what they call the web-based version, which is fine if you're using
And
like I guess
just waiting
a tablet,
for,
like an
as it
iPad or
always
something. But honestly, it won't
installs
have
any
all the
updates from
same
the last time you
features and
got into
benefits
it.
that you'll want to have that's provided through the
Okay,
desktop
come
version.
on, there we
And
go.
so
And we
if you
go
happen
into
to
login
install
screen
something
right
and then
here,
come into our
folks.
classes and see that
So
it's a little
down
bit
here
off or a little bit different,
in the bottom
chances are you
left-hand
accidentally
corner,
download
there's
the
that same
web-based
little
version and
gear
not the desktop
right there.
version. Okay.
Okay, you can
You can
kind
have
of do the
both,
same
but
thing
for
before
our
you
purposes, we
actually
teach off the
log
desktop
in.
version.
I'll just
Now, they
click
also
on that.
offer a mobile
And
app,
then
which I
if
happen
you
to have on my
do
iPhone, which
have,
is pretty nice. It works pretty well, actually. I've used it when I've been away from my computer and if
where
I'm
did it
traveling or whatever.
go?
And so you're
Okay, let
welcome
me
to have
see
that too.
here.
But of course, it's impossible
Uh,
for us to teach from an iPhone here. So make sure you've got the
Selling TD
desktop.
Ameritrade. No,
Okay, so what
actually, it
it'll
used to
do
be
is
here.
that when
Okay.
we come into
Well, how
this,
about that?
we provide a
Not
link here
here
that still
for me
works.
anymore.
And so as I click on
Because it used
this,
to say right here,
it just takes us directly
maybe
to
nope, it's
the
not
TD
a
Ameritrade
proxy. I think it's TD
page, where it'll ask if you happen to already
Ameritrade.
have a TD Ameritrade account. And if you
Well,
do, great,
it
you've
used
already
to
got a
be
paper
right here.
money
Maybe
account
this is
set up.
something that's
Just have
changed
to download the
in kind
software.
of the
But if
switch
you
over
don't, you
here.
just click on no,
But
and it'll allow you to go ahead and type in your own
okay, I just
username and
like folks. How
password,
about
ask for
that?
some
I guess
basic
I should have
information.
checked
But
it
you
before I
notice
came
that
to
none of this is
class
really
here.
that personal.
Well,
There's
I
no
did not.
social
So,
security number or birth date or anything like
well,
that at all.
it used to
And
be
then you can
right
just
here that you can
submit,
change
and
it.
it'll take about
So
5
if
minutes
you
to
do
download and install
change
the
it back,
software on
if
your
it does get
desktop.
changed and
Okay.
changed back, let me
Now,
get out
if
of
you
this.
decided, well, boy, I don't
Okay.
know who to get started trading
And
with. I don't
I
have a
will
brokerage
get out
account.
of
How do I
this as
choose?
well and bring back
What I
up
might
the
encourage you to
Thinkorswim
do is I scroll
platform.
down below here. We have
And
a class that I taught in our lesson 1
Cindy said
on
Schwab
exactly
people
how to go
couldn't fix
about
it
choosing a
unless you
brokerage firm.
delete it. Okay.
And so maybe it takes
You
about
know
15
what?
minutes to go through that
And
class, but
that's a
I'd
good
encourage you to go
thing
through that because
for.
it'll walk
I
through
was
some
going
of
to
the things
bring
to
this
be
up
aware
too,
of
so I'm
and what
glad
to
you
be
brought it up
looking
now,
for. And
Cindy. I might as
my
well
only
just
suggestion to do
throw this out
is
here.
to not settle for anything
Now,
less. Right, there are a lot of firms out there. There's been a lot of consolidation, but they're
when
great firms like
you
Fidelity and E-Trade and so forth,
with the
Interactive Brokers.
transition,
But I have noticed that with
okay,
a lot of
with
social
the
media nowadays, there's been a
transition,
lot of these what I
if
call
you
kind of
call up
meme or social media
Schwab,
brokerage firms out there. You probably have heard
or
of
even if you
them,
call up,
Robinhood and so forth. Um,
Thinkorswim, they're probably going
just
to
from what I've heard from other
be
students and other
some
people, is
Schwab
I'd be
people
careful
on the
about
phone
those
call,
firms.
and they may
And
not
the reason
be
why is that they are
as
so
familiar
new
with the
that
website
sometimes they don't
in that
have all the
with
same features and benefits that you'll
those
want to
types of
have. In
things, right?
fact,
Because they're probably
I
still
learned through a
learning it
student that
themselves.
if you
So
have a
what I
problem or
would
an issue,
probably
a lot of these
do
firms,
to
there's
make
no
it a
phone
little bit
number. You
easier
can't
is to
call
actually
anybody.
go to here.
You have to email them.
If you're
And
already
what I'm thinking,
logged
if
in,
somebody's got my
go to the
money, I want to be
support
able to get a
because
hold of them
usually the
day or night,
support is
24/7,
being
365 days of the
staffed
year,
by
right? And a lot of these
people
firms, you just can't do
who
that.
are
And that's a little
Thinkorswim
bit irritating to
employees
me. I think it should be
usually,
to
have
you too.
probably
So
worked with the
I would
platform
suggest
for a
don't settle
while,
for that, right?
and
And the
they
good
do
news for
have
us as retail investors is that
people more
with
familiar
the
with the
big
platform.
competition that's
That's
been
why
out there
I
and the
always tell people to
consolidation,
go to here.
a lot of these
So
firms
if you get
no
something
longer
you don't
charge
know what
commissions
to
for stock
do,
trades. So it's not even a cost issue
that could
anymore.
be, but it could
So
be
heck,
maybe just
if
somebody on the phone who's a
Fidelity
little
and
bit
Schwab and
newer,
the like are not charging any
using the
commissions,
platform
then why
themselves.
settle for something less, right? Just
Okay.
get the most out of
Sorry, speaking
what you
with
can from that
Thinkorswim,
firm.
but it was late last night. Now,
All right, and
again,
then
if
just
you
to
even
point out
called
up
Thinkorswim,
here,
it
we provided a
probably
video that
got
walks through
routed to either
step
TD
by step, all
Ameritrade
these
or
different
Schwab.
topics, we've kind of timestamped
Okay,
all these
just
things
kinda,
that what I
but
found helpful for my students is that they'll
just
start
some
the video,
information
then
there.
they'll just
Just some.
pause it,
So again, like I
and
said, there
then go
might
through
be
the
some
instructions and just
growing
follow
pains on the
along to
transition and things
download the
along that line.
information and go
But
through how to look at the monitor
let's
tab and
you know,
using some of the advanced features and
we'll
chart
work
settings and
through it.
so
That's
forth.
just
So
what
if
we'll
you've
put it.
gone through
Okay.
this entire video, by the time
Now
you've
Gary
completed it,
said,
you'll
good
have
thing.
a good
Don't forget
idea
to
of at
save
least
your
how to get started, at
workspace
least
and
enough to
name
be
it.
dangerous that
Otherwise, it may
your
not be
site
there
will
when you
look very
when you
similar to what you
log
see
back
when you
in.
tune into these classes.
That way you can
Okay.
recall it. And you know what? That
All
is
right. So the
something
idea
that
is
just
let's get
happened
practice.
recently
And so what we'll do
with
is
me
that
as well.
uh,
I've been
after
using
going
this
through this
platform
step 3,
for
we then
15
walk
years
through
or
and show you how
something
to
like
place
that.
paper trades. And we have
Never
these
had
live
a
classes
problem
Tuesday
with
through
with
Thursday
having to save
where
my
we answer
workspace or
questions
anything
regarding
else along
exactly
that
these
line.
topics. Now, we
And then
don't
all
this
of a
week because we're
sudden,
kind
when
of
I'd log
short-handed,
in,
but
everything would
they'll
be
start up
gone, and I
again
had
next
to
week that
reset
you can
everything
tune
back
into
up.
if you'd like.
And
And
I'd
then
log
finally, in
out,
step
log
4, we
back
go through
in, and
the quick
everything would be gone.
stock
And
analysis.
so,
Okay.
so I said,
So
"What the heck is
let me
going
just
on?"
show you
I
this. Now,
chatted,
this
"What the heck's
might
going on?" They said, "Well, you have to save your
be
workspace." I said,
beyond
"I haven't done it for, I
what
haven't had to
you've
do it
learned
for
so
15
far,
years."
but
But
I always like to just kind of
so
show
yeah,
this in
you
practice. So
can
let's do this.
save
Does
save
somebody
the
have
workspace. So where
what
is
they
it?
believe
If
to
you
be a
click on
good
that
looking
setup
stock
right
that might
here,
meet a
save
lot of the
workspace,
fundamental
and
and
you just
technical
give it a
analysis
name
information
and you
that
save it.
you've learned in the classes so far
Okay.
that we could look at
Save your
to
workspace.
analyze?
Hit
So
the
I'm going to put you
setup
on the
up on
spot.
top.
Don't give me
Now
some
that's
high
again,
flying
if you
stock that's
don't
no
have
good here,
extra
right?
large, and you can find it
Let's take the
up
first one.
here.
Looks like Jim's chatting in
Okay.
NVIDIA. Yeah, so we've seen
So,
NVIDIA a lot in the
setup,
news and so forth with the AI and
save
everything else. And
workspace.
so
You give it
let's
a
do
name,
this. We can take
and
any
then
company that you
if
might be
you
familiar with,
log
that you
out and
might
then
have
log
heard
back
about,
in, and
that
it's
you
not
might
there,
use their
then you just
products.
go
I
to
love how
my
Charles says, hey,
workspace,
buy what
whatever
you
it
know.
is that
Right.
you've
So if
named
you
it,
happen to use
and
chips that use NVIDIA,
it'll
I
bring it
talked
back
with
up for you.
the
Okay.
gentleman the other
So
day,
that's where
I guess
you'll
a
go
little
ahead and
while
save
ago,
it.
actually,
So
that we were talking about NVIDIA, and he only
yeah,
knew them because
it was
they
something that I
make chips
that
that
just
do a
hit
lot
me
of the
just like 2
gaming.
months ago, and it's
He's
like,
a
what the heck is
programmer,
going
so he
on?
understands that they do
But there we
programming
go.
with
Save that
gaming chips and
workspace.
things like that. It was out well above
Now,
my head of understanding, but he was only
one of
familiar
the
with that, so he
things
wasn't even
that
thinking about it
we
from an investment
get a
perspective.
lot of
But I was
questions
able to
on,
show him how, well, here you can take any of that stock that you
especially for the
use
newer
and
folks,
run through a
you
quick
veterans
analysis.
probably
So what
already
we'll
know
do
how
is
to
we'll
do
take
this.
that NVIDIA, and there are many great
But
sites
here
out there
on
where you can
the
go in
charts
and
tab,
analyze the
right
information,
here,
and you'll
folks,
learn more about
this
this in our future
little
classes
bar
and in
that
the
I
quick
have
start.
running across the
But just to
top
kind
of
of give you
my
more of a real life
screen.
application, let's go into a place like Yahoo
I
Finance.
know
Okay.
I use this, and I know
The
the
reason why
other
we can come in here
instructors
is
use
that
this all the
they'll
time,
provide
have
a
this up
lot
on
of
their screen
information
because
that we
it's
can
just
go
very
in and
easy to have
look at any
something up here to
stock
be
and
able to
analyze
click
it.
on
So
it
this is
and bring
free
it up on
and
your
available for
chart
everybody. You don't even
to
have to
use. Now,
subscribe to this to have the access to
the
this
things that I
information.
have up here,
So I can
right,
bring
my
up like
pointer,
a
my trend line,
finance.yahoo,
price levels,
and you'll
these
see
are
a lot
things
of
that I
information here, a lot of
use
news
most
articles, but I could go in
often
and
in my
type in our symbol,
classes. Now,
NVIDIA,
you can set this up and
and here it brings up a lot of
have
information regarding the
same access
company.
or
You'll
put
see
things
this
in here that you
this
want to
line
go ahead
right
and
here
use.
that just
Now, how
gives a
many
tab.
of you
Oops, that's a triple
here
line. Let's try this again. There we go.
do not
You
have
can
this
see
little
a whole lot of wealth of
this
information.
little ribbon up
Okay,
here
just since I'm on this beginning
with
page, the summary
these
page
different
here,
things that you can
I
click
can
on,
see,
right?
first of
Watch
all,
if
is the
I
company
click on it,
profitable?
you know, I
And
can
so I can look
default, I
right
can
here to
bring
see
up
that,
some
okay,
different study
earnings per
sets and things
share,
along that line. How
TTM
many
just
of you
stands for
don't have
trailing
these
12
things
months.
on
So we
here
can
right
see that
now?
basically over the last 12 months,
Or
this company
would
has had positive
or
earnings.
even if you
Now,
maybe
this
might be
number
here
to
a
me is just
little
a
bit
number. It doesn't tell me if it's big
for
or
a little bit
small. It's all
longer time,
relative.
you're still
But
kind of
I am
going, how the heck do
appreciative
I
of the
get that
fact
up
that
there?
it is
I like that,
positive.
but I just don't know
Not every
how
company
to
has a
do it.
positive number.
Okay.
They might even have a
So
negative next to it, which
this
tells
is
us that,
very
oh, they're not
handy.
even
This
profitable.
is very
They're losing.
handy.
Well,
So
that's
in
okay,
order
at
for
least
you
for
to
a
go ahead
little
and get this
while,
line up
right?
here,
If they're just
okay,
up
this
and
little
coming and
ribbon
growing.
up
But
here,
if you find a company that just has
what you want
losses
to do is come
constantly,
up here
let's
to
face it,
the
how
little
long are they going to be
gear,
around?
this little cog
Right? They
right
can only
here.
survive for so long,
Gil
especially
has
in
it.
this
All
high
righty,
interest rate
fantastic.
environment that we're in right now.
I know, Gil.
So it's
I
good.
knew
This
you would
company
have it.
does have
But
earnings.
remember, anytime you
Okay,
have a
from
little
here I can always learn
gear,
more about the company by going to
you're
the profile
able to
tab, and I can
customize
see that,
that page, right? The
you know,
gear
what do
up
they
here at the
do? Where are they
top
located? Well, they're
customizes
out
the
of Santa
entire
Clara. They're in the
platform.
technology. Okay, they're
But
part of the
whenever you have a gear
semiconductor
on an
industry.
individual
Maybe
page,
I've
you
heard
can
a lot about that
customize
in the
that
news that
page.
sometimes they've been
Okay.
struggling in this market
Yeah,
environment.
CM, love the tools. Wish you can have more than 7. I
As
do
we scroll
too.
down, we can always learn more
Right?
and see a
I mean, what's the
description of the
point of
company and
having
what
all
they
this
do.
extra space
And we can
here
see that they're part of
if you got to have
graphics,
more
and
than
I can see
7,
that they are
right?
part of gaming.
John
So that
has it
gentleman
as
Nudu
well.
was
Good
talking
job.
about there.
Okay.
Okay.
But anyway,
But then to
so
go
we'll go
through
to
an
this little
analysis,
cog. We'll click on
I'll
it.
go through this quickly, but
So
can
it
learn more about
starts
this. I'm
out
just
in
kind
the
of giving you a
general
taste of what
tab.
you're going
This
to be
is where
learning
we'll
about.
be.
That
But if you go
you
down
might
to
say,
the
well,
very
Rob, I'm not a
bottom
financial
right-hand
analyst.
corner,
These are all just numbers. It's
it
all
says My
foreign to me.
Tools.
How can I really know
And
or
it,
learn anything about this?
yours
My
probably
advice is
says
the old
up.
KISS simple method, right? The keep it simple
Click on
method.
that
So if I go
and
to our
go.
analysis tab,
I
there are
put it
analysts
on
out there that
each
have done
chart.
the
You can
work
do a
for us.
single panel if you
And so you
want,
can see a
but
lot of
it's just
data here.
easier
But
to have it
really what we'll do
attached
is we'll just scroll
to the
down.
chart.
And we
And
want to
anytime
know
it
what kind of track record has this
you come
company
to the chart
had
tab, it's
in
there
terms
for
of
you.
doing better than what
So
was
just click
expected of
on
them with
each
their
chart. Now,
earnings.
folks,
You
as
see every
always,
quarter,
anytime you
a
make
company will
changes
announce
in
what kind of earnings that
this,
they've had for that
okay,
past
whether
quarter.
it's any
And
of these
analysts out there,
tabs,
their sole job is
and
to
you want
come
to
up with a
save the
consensus
changes,
of what they
please
believe
always
the
remember to
company should
click
have with their
apply.
earnings. And so we can see what those
Click
estimates
apply.
were,
If you don't click
and then
apply,
how
and
did the
just click
company
OK,
actually
well, it
perform.
looks like it'll
So
save it. You'll be able
literally
to
a year
use it
ago,
for that session.
analysts,
And if you
analysts
log
out
out,
there were
log back
projecting that the
in,
company
you
should
did
have
not click apply
69
before you
cents of
clicked
earnings.
OK, then you'll
When the
lose
company
all
announced,
the changes you make.
they actually did a little bit
Okay,
less
so
than that.
just throwing
They
that
only had
out there.
58 cents of earnings.
So
So
once
they
you
had what's
click
called a
on
negative
each
surprise.
chart,
That's not
have that in
good,
my
right? They
tool, you
missed
click
it.
apply
And
and
chances
OK,
are the
it
stock
brings up a
probably at
little
least took a
tiny
short-term
box.
hit
Brian
off of
found
that
that out the
because
hard way.
we want to
Sorry,
know if the
Brian.
company can do much
Right,
better
the
than
School of
expected,
Hard
not worse
Knocks
than
he went to
expected.
there. But it brings
Well,
up a little tiny
perhaps
box.
that
I
was
don't
just a
know the
one-time
size
deal
of it. I
because
can't
look what
remember
happened
anymore.
afterwards. For the
But
following
you
quarters,
can
analysts
resize
continue to
that.
raise
You
up their
can
expectations.
drag it
But then the
and
company
move it.
finally
You can
did
move it
meet
over
and
to the
exceed
side. You
those
can move it up to the
expectations,
top.
at least
You can
by a
move it
positive
wherever you
amount.
want.
And look how it just keeps growing from
And then
quarter to
once you
quarter
do
until
that,
most recently. Wow, look at that.
there's
They
a
jumped up
little
so much
pin
just over here in the
right
summer.
here on the
Where
very
they're expecting over
left-hand
$2 of
side. And
earnings,
if
all the
you
way up from
don't pin
only
it, it's
69
right there. And
cents
you
of
see it
earnings.
just
And
disappeared
the
on
company
me.
said,
You're
hey,
like,
not a
where did it
problem. We
go?
did even better than that.
It just
So at least
disappeared. So you
3 out of
can
the
just
last
hover
4
back over
quarters,
it and it
they've
brings
been
it
able
back
to
up.
not only meet,
Okay.
but
But
exceed
if you
what
want it there
companies'
permanently, just
expectations have been,
click
or
that
analysts'
pin so that
expectations have been of them.
thumbtack
That's a good sign.
is
Love to have a
pointing
perfect
down,
score, but it's not bad. They're trending in the
and
right
then it'll be
direction.
there for
All right. Well, that would look at how well the company's done in
you
the
to use on
past.
every single chart.
We want to know what are they
Now,
projected
what
to
can
do
you
in the
have up
future.
here? The 7
So
different
it's in this
things.
section here where we can
There
see what
is room
analysts
for
were
at least
anticipating, what
3,
their
maybe 4
estimates have
more
been
up
for
here,
their
but
earnings
they
per
only
share, what they were thinking
allow 7.
even just a few months ago,
So
to
along
what are
this
they
line,
thinking
folks,
right now. We want to be able
again,
to see if they've been
right?
lowering
There's a
or raising up their
little
expectations, or
cog right here
expecting better things
on that
out of the
line. You
company.
click on that. Now,
Well,
it doesn't
what I'll focus on is just be the current
allow
year,
me to add
and what are they
anything
projecting
because it
for
says,
next year, their next
add
fiscal
button.
year.
It's
And we
not
can see that a
highlighted
few months
because I
ago,
already have
again,
7
positive
things
earnings,
on here.
but they've been
But
raising or lowering those expectations. Well, it appears to me, look how those numbers just keep rising up higher and higher. A little bit of a glitch right there. But to where we're at right now, like Linda says, we're just been going up, up, up. That's a good sign.
What I use on my,
If it's going the other way, I'd be very careful.
Right? I'm just going to take
because
this off.
something's made those analysts decide that,
maybe
something's
not
not right. They're
Take off
projecting a
trend line because you won't
slowdown.
be able to
Maybe
see my
they're
pointer if I take it
going
off.
to
So I'm
have
just gonna
more
delete the button.
competition. Maybe they have
There
to
we go.
close stores. Maybe something's
Now
changing.
this add button
But at least
right
for
here,
this company,
folks,
they've been raising up their expectations. They've had an upgrade.
is where
Okay.
you will
And we can
start
see that
to
not only
create
for
and
the
put the things
current
up. And
year,
now you don't have to
my
have
goodness,
7
what's
if you
going on
don't
for next fiscal year.
think you'll use 7.
And that's even
You
higher
can
than
only
what they're
have 1,
projecting
2,
for this
3,
year.
anywhere up to 7. But if you
So
click
in a
on this
nutshell,
add
what does that
button
equal
right
out
here,
to then?
boom.
When you see
Now
earnings
it brings up
expectations
some different
rising up,
things that you can
what
put
type
on.
of company do we
If you
have
wanted
here?
to use a drawing tool. In fact, the thing I just deleted
Just one
was
word.
a
How do we
drawing tool. It was a trend line.
identify this?
So,
Yeah,
if
very
there's
good.
something
Many
that
of you are
you
saying
just
it's a
want
growth
you
stock.
always use,
Let's face it, if
just
we
have
want
at your
our
fingertips,
account to
then you can
grow
add it.
and
If
increase
you
in value,
want to use
certainly
a
makes
certain
sense to me that we'd
study
want to be
set,
looking
but
for
you don't
good,
want to
solid
have it
growth
on all
stocks
the
that are
time,
also
right?
growing,
Whether
because
you
there's
wanted
that
to use
general correlation that if you have a
a
stock that's growing with their
MACD
revenue,
or
growing with their earnings,
stochastics or an
that over time,
RSI
it
or
may not happen
something else
tomorrow,
along
but
that
over
line, you
time,
can
their
choose
stock price should appreciate
whatever it
and
is
grow
here,
along
and
with
it'll
that.
show up
Okay.
on
So that would
one of these
suggest to me that this
tabs.
is a pretty good
Okay.
growth
Or
stock.
if you
Now, if I were to scroll down lower, I
created
can
a study
confirm that
set.
even further by looking
Okay,
down here where
so
we look at some of their
my
growth
study
estimates
sets, right? I've
and see that,
created,
wow,
first of all,
again, these
first
are
and
very
foremost,
positive numbers. My goodness, triple digits, but
default.
even for the
And my
next year, next
default
5
has
years,
nothing on
still
it
double
except
digits
for
growth.
volume. Now the
Okay.
rut I
That
have
gives
up
me
here doesn't
confidence
have
that,
volume.
okay, I'm not just dealing with
So
some
it
loser
won't show the
stock here
volume
that's
pane. But
losing
I
money
make
and
sure that
not
whenever
going the
you're
right
starting
way.
off with
You know,
and trying
there's
to do
at
some
least for
study
now,
sets,
the
always
anticipation that it
save
should
a
want to continue to even
default
have better
chart,
things to
a
come in the
basic
future.
chart.
Okay.
And so
Now,
I have
that took a
mine
little
set up as a
while, and you
default.
may still be lost, and that's
Then I
okay.
created a
I'm just
chart
kind
with
of
a
giving you a
20-day
flavor of
moving
what you'll
average.
learn
Then I
about this.
created a chart with
So
a
we know that,
50-day moving average.
can I
Then
feel
I
confident
created a
about owning
chart
the
with a
stock in
20,
my watch
50, and a
list, at least?
200-day moving
Keeping an eye
average.
on it.
And then this is what you would do.
Yeah, it's
You'd
not
set up
bad,
that
right?
study here.
But
Excuse me.
is
You'd
really
set up the
today the
study
right day to
and
buy
come
the
to your study
stock?
set and you'd find it.
So what we
Right.
did
So
here is
there's
we
my
just answered the
20-day
question of
moving
knowing
average
what
this
to
chart.
buy.
There's my 50-day,
Okay,
and then
but
there's my
there's more to it than that.
50,
Right? Maybe
20,
a great
50,
company,
200
but
days that I have all
if the
on here.
stock is
So when you
going the
start
wrong way
creating
here,
some more of these
then maybe it's
sets,
not the right time to get into
you
that,
use
right?
them, you can
So
put them up
this is
here.
where we apply more of the
Okay,
technical
now
side of
I'm
trading.
going to go back
So if
and
I come
add
back in, I'm going to
back my
bring up our
trend line.
Thinkorswim
Drawing
platform
tool,
here to
trend
give you
line, click,
an
boom.
idea of how this works. So let me introduce
Now
this to
it is
you.
right here. There's my trend
This
line.
is the Thinkorswim
Now, once
software.
you have your
And at first glance, I know with all the
little
information that's
tabs
on
that
there,
you
it can be
want
very
to
overwhelming. I'll
use,
be the first to
regardless
admit
of
that.
anywhere
But just be
from
rest
0 to
assured
7,
that you're only going to
you
use
can
a small
also put
portion
these
of
in
the
an order.
site a majority of the time, if that makes
Okay.
sense. I kind of call it the 80-20 rule, Or maybe I really
And
honestly
then
only use about 20% of the site,
I don't
80%
want
of the
my trend
time.
line here.
And then over
Then
time,
I'll
you'll learn
just
about some of the
click
other great features,
and
and you can choose
drag.
to
I
use
want my
those as
trend
well.
line
But
back over here.
right now,
And then
I'm
you
just
just
underneath what we call our charts
reset it.
tab. And we use the
Now,
charts quite a bit because they tell us something. This is looking
after
at things
you've
from a
got it all
technical
taken care of,
perspective. These
then you just
graphs
hit the done.
price in a
Now,
lot
what
of
if
this
you
data and a
have
lot of this fundamental
something up
information, a
here
lot of the
and you want to get something
emotions of what
else?
people are thinking
Well,
out there
then
right now.
again,
Well, right
all
now,
you
I
have to do is
have a
just
graph up
click
of our
on the
Dow Jones
little
Industrial
down
Average, and you'll
arrow
see
on the
once
study
again,
that you
we're
want to
down again
maybe
today. Ouch.
take out
Look what's been
or
happening over the
change,
last
right?
week here. Just nothing
Maybe
but
right
red.
here, I want to
And you'll
change
understand and
this
learn more about
button.
these, what we call candlestick
Instead of a
patterns very soon
20-day
too.
moving
But
average, maybe I want to do a
green is
20
good
and a
because we're
50-day
rising up,
moving
but
average.
red is not so
Okay,
good if we're
boom, I'll
being
just put
bullish
that
because
on
things
there.
are falling down
Now it's
lower.
there.
Okay. And it's still coming down today. In fact, just so you're aware, if I
this
zoom
just
out
opens
to
up a
maybe a
whole bunch of
1-year
new
graph,
things that you can add on here. It's
here's
just
the
not
beginning of this
limited,
year. As of
but
yesterday,
to
and now today
7,
it's
but you
following
can add
through. We're
anything
actually
that you have
officially in
actually
negative
created
territory for the year,
or
at least on the
they've
Dow.
created, like these
Rats,
pointers
it
and
was
trend
trying to
lines
move
and
up, and
different
we
study
actually
sets
had
and things like
signs
that.
of
So once
life
you
moving
have
up
it
from the
all in
summer.
place,
But now
come
we're
back over
actually now
here,
down
click
below
the
where we would have
done,
started the year,
and
unfortunately.
now it's set
Okay.
there for you.
Well, I shouldn't
Okay.
say unfortunately. It's unfortunate for those who are already in the markets at the moment. But if you're brand new to the program,
that's one of the more
man, your timing's perfect, I would say.
common questions
Because
that
what a
we
great
get
time to be
because
learning
a lot
about
of
this.
people see
Because
us
feel free to know that
using
you're
it
not
in
buying
the
stocks at their
instructors
all-time
using it in our
highs, right?
classes, and they want to
You're
know how to
looking to
do
getting
that.
in
So
when
hopefully
maybe things are
that was
trading at a
helpful there
discount.
for you and
Because
make
I may not know a
your
lot
life
about
a little bit easier,
everything,
at least for some of
but
the
this
things
much
that
I
you
do
do
know
use
is that
most
the
often.
markets will rise again.
Now,
And that's the good news, is that
remember,
you're looking
as
at
I
when
always
stocks have pulled
say
back
in
quite
all
a
my
bit to where you'll be able
classes,
to get
click
them
on
maybe
things.
even at a discount
Don't
when they're on
worry about
sale,
breaking it
and then
because you
enjoy
can't break it, even though
the
you
nice
might look
rally
like you
back up
broke
higher
it.
again, which will happen. In
If it
fact, I
does,
wouldn't be shocked
it
if
looks
towards
like
the
you
end of this
broke
month
it, don't
into the
reach
end of the
out
year
to
that we have a
sink or
very
swim,
strong rally.
or you can
Okay.
just reset
Because
the
it's
whole
happened
thing.
over and over again.
Just
You
you
look
know
to
what?
last year. Last year was a
Just
negative
let's
year on the
reset it.
market. And you
You
look
can go
how,
back up
starting
here.
at the end of October,
You
things
can
rallied back up.
reset
One of
workspace
those
to
seasonal
default.
types of things.
Back up to the setup up
Well, what I'll
here,
do here, if the markets are
reset
down,
workspace to default,
chances are maybe
and
Nvidia's down
just
too. But let's bring it
start
up.
all
Let's
over.
bring up
So if you're just
NVDA.
brand new, beginning and
type in the
clicking on
symbol.
things, you don't know how, and you've changed something, don't know how to change it back.
Kind of interesting.
And
looking at this chart,
just want to restart.
compared
There you go. Now, if
to
you
the Dow,
are
which is just a representation of the market,
newer and kind of,
how would you say
older
this
and veteran,
particular
and
graph
have
on
a lot of
Nvidia looks
things set up,
compared to
that's
the overall markets?
you may not
Looks
want
better,
to
worse, the same?
reset the workspace to default, and it could
Yeah, I mean, it looks a lot more positive. In other words,
currently want.
even if I were just to
But,
start from the beginning of the year,
that's
here's our beginning of our
a
year
nice little
here.
thing there.
Remember on the
as you're
Dow, we
just
were
starting
actually
out,
losing.
being
We're
able
actually a
just
little
to
bit lower.
reset everything and go
Here,
from there.
my goodness, we're up
Now,
much
each
higher than
page,
that.
if I go to the
And it's
monitor
true,
tab,
this stock really had a huge rally
each
into this
page
year. I mean, it was trading around $150.
will usually
Now it's up
have
to
some
$450.
way to reset
Okay,
the
so
page.
now the question is, well, maybe am I too late?
So,
This
like
thing's already gone up so
if
much.
you've added some things on
I've
here,
been told
you
it's
got a
good to
bunch
buy
of things,
low
or
and
just some
sell
different
high.
things, or click on this little
I want to
gear right
dispel
here,
that myth
brings it
as
up.
well. It's certainly great
And
to buy low
so,
and sell high, but it's certainly okay
if
to
you just
buy
wanted
high
to
and
go
sell
ahead
even
and
higher.
just say, okay,
Because
let me
stocks
just
will
get
do
back
that.
to
When this
a
stock went
blank
from
one
150 up
and
to 300,
and
come on,
just
it doubled.
start all
There's no way
over
it can go up
again, then
higher
you can
now,
do that.
right?
Just hit load
And yet
defaults, and
clearly
it'll
we
do
can
that
see it can,
for you.
gapped up after earnings and continue
So
to take right off.
usually each page will
Well,
have the
what's
ability
interesting
to
is that
maybe
you'll notice
reset
I've got this
that
little line
particular
drawn here
page
from the past where
as
we
well.
kind of bounced around
So
that when
don't
we were
worry
moving
about it.
up.
Click on
Recently, we
things,
broke down below
get
it.
feeling comfortable,
Okay.
and
So not a big deal. Maybe the stock's just
um,
consolidating and pulling back like
just
the
see
market is,
what
but
you
I want
like
to be
and what it
careful
uses for,
because
and how you
we
use
don't
it.
want to be entering in if it's going to
Now,
be
I'm going to
starting
bring
to
up the
downward trend
SPY.
and
This
go
is
the other
the
direction and
spider
roll over.
S&P 500.
Notice we had a bit of a down day yesterday.
Yeah,
Thankfully
looks like
today we're kind of flat.
had a
Not a
nice
big deal.
little
In fact,
run
you'll learn more
this
about
week.
things
Now,
like
Friday,
support and resistance and identifying, well,
Monday,
where,
Tuesday, and today's
has there
Wednesday.
been a
So we've
place
had a
where the
nice little
stock
run.
has had a
Looks
hard
like it's
time
coming up
breaking
on
down
some
below
resistance
recently?
levels and things like that.
I think just from a
So,
horizontal perspective, we can choose to identify
but
that
one
on the
thing
chart.
that
I can draw a line
sometimes
like
people will
this,
get click on some
kind of this
stuff and
neighborhood
don't know
right here,
how to get it back.
and observe that
Now, on the
not
right
just
hand side,
once,
this is
but
one of
2
the
or 3
common
times
things.
even.
But over here on the
Look how when
right
we've
hand
fallen
side,
down, down,
If you can
at
see
least
over
buyers have
on the
stepped
very
back in
far
around this
right edge, at least on my
$406 level.
screen here.
Okay, that says something, right?
Now,
It tells me that, oh, for whatever reason, buyers still think that's a good buy right around the 400-point level,
it will bring
despite
up
the
a
fact you're going
different
from 150
view.
up to 400.
Okay.
Okay.
Here we go. I
Well,
clicked on
for
live
now,
news.
like I say, that's good, but we want to make
Okay,
sure
and it
sellers
brings
don't
up the
start
news
stepping
down
in at a
below.
lower price too, and saying,
If
"Oh,
you
I'm fearful
don't,
that
if
things
you
are going to
click on
drop back
something and
down."
it just
So
doesn't look like you
we
come to the
maybe
chart
keep an eye on
tab
this
and
to
it,
see
and
if
it
we
looks
can't
different some way
maintain
somehow,
above this
I would
level,
immediately come over
and
here
then if we
to
were to
the
break down
right-hand
below,
side and see
well, then we
if
can
there's
have an
something
exit
that
strategy.
is
And
kind of
that's my encouragement for
highlighted.
all of you
So
too,
it
is
means
to
it's
have your own
active, it's been
exit
clicked on.
strategy. Before you even enter
So,
into any
the
trade,
chart,
you have to find for yourself what
unless you
amount
click
am I
on it,
willing
should
to
always be highlighted,
hold
right?
on
If
to
I
it,
click
but if it
on the
starts breaking
chart, then
down
the
below
chart's
that
not there. So
particular
you come
amount,
to the chart
to
tab,
where
you
you
don't see
say,
the
nope,
chart.
enough is
It
enough, and
means
you're
it's
looking
for
to exit out of the trade.
somehow you
Okay, and that
clicked
could be a
on
wide area, it could be a
and clicked off
percentage.
the chart.
I like
You
to base my exits
unselected
off
it,
of
so
what
to
we're
speak,
observing
right?
on the
So
chart itself,
anytime you have something
right? Because
other
that
on the
tells us
chart,
something that,
other
again,
than
buyers have
what you're
stepped in around
normally
this
or
level.
used to seeing, is
So if I am
probably
more of a
you've
shorter
clicked
term
on
trader, or
something
just
on the side
even if
here.
I'm longer
Okay, see,
term,
you can have a whole bunch of stuff.
I want to hold on to this if it can
Big
remain above
buttons.
that.
You
But
like
if it
big
breaks down
buttons? Well, there's
below,
big buttons.
maybe for my
Okay.
rules, I might choose to exit
I don't know. There
out
might
and then
be
look
some
for
kind
yet
of
another new
country song
entry
about
point
big
later
buttons.
on when things
But
are
there we
starting to
go.
rally back up. Okay.
And you just click on it
Not a bad
again
example. Whoever
to
chatted
get
that in, I
rid
think it
of
was
it.
Jim.
Boom, boom,
That's
boom,
certainly a
and boom.
great company to be
Okay.
observant of. And then over time, you can learn more about the stock and what you're investing in. And I
What is
encourage everyone
level
to do that
2?
too. Become very familiar
It's
with what you're
one step up
looking
from
to
level
invest in.
1,
Become,
Stephen.
know how they move and how they work,
Okay.
and all the information regarding it.
All
right.
Now,
well, what we went
level
through
2
here,
is actually it's actually a more
come back
in-depth
again,
look
will be covered
at the
inside.
trades going through.
These quick start steps. So this is the good starting point. Is to go through these steps to begin with, so you can get up and running, and so you can follow along within our classes.
Yeah, I was just hanging
From there,
that one out there.
everybody learns a little bit differently.
Gil did a good job.
But what I found to be helpful for my
So
students
this
is
just
that
basically
some people go in and they'll go into our foundation lessons
detail
and
of the
just try to
actual
cram in
trades.
all this
That's what level
information.
2
Now,
is doing.
if you're like me,
showing
I
us
could read a whole
the
chapter on,
trades
I
that
don't know,
have gone
fundamental analysis,
through
and I guarantee you by the next day I've forgotten most of it.
on whichever stock you're
Probably
looking at. So this
within
is
the next
the
minute,
S&P
I've forgotten a
500.
lot of
This
it.
is the SPDR.
Right, it just doesn't
One of the
register.
most active
And so I don't
traded
recommend just plowing through all the
securities
data
out
here.
there.
I would quite
So,
frankly just maybe start with
and so
one or two
all of this
lessons,
is just
maybe go
showing
through the
you
investing
the
principles and building a
information
watch
of the
list,
trades
and then
that have
stop,
gone through.
and then
So,
attend these classes to
I'm
see
going
how
to
we
use my
apply that
drawing tool,
information.
so it's going
For
to
example, if I
freeze here.
went through
Okay?
lesson 1 and lesson 2 on
So
building a watch list,
this is just
then I
the
could come
same
down to our
information
live
right
classes
here as it is up here.
and come to where we're at today, the
Or if you
beginner
were on the
intermediate
trade tab, it's the
class.
same information you see on the
Today was
trade
just an
tab.
introduction.
Now, what the
But
difference
you'll
is,
see that I'm sure Gary will kind of follow along the same
get rid of
process
that,
that after going through
use my
this,
drawing
we'll
tools
show you
again.
how to create a
This
watch
is
list.
showing you
Looks like Greg added another
every
class
trade
here
that's
about
been coming
orders
in
for some reason, but that's okay.
on
That's kind
the
of cool
sell
thing too when
side,
you listen
the
to
bid
different
side.
instructors, you get different
This is
approaches to
showing
this.
you every
But
trade
you'll see that's
that
what he
came
applies it.
in
Then he
and
goes through and talks
executed
about the
on the
three-pillar
ask
approach
side
in
or
more
the buy
detail of
side.
what we just did today.
Okay,
So
this
you
shows
tend to
you
learn
the
more
sides
when you see how we use that
of it.
information.
Now those
And then, of course, your
lots,
objective is to go in and get
lots.
practice
So
yourself
that's
by
the
going
size of
into
it.
the paper money
And it also
account and
gives you the
testing out these
price
strategies.
that the
And then when you
transaction
have
happened at.
questions, I'd
Okay.
say by far our most
So
popular class
now these
would
little
be to go into any one of our daily
letters
live
over
Q&A
here
sessions. These are
are
held
the
Monday through Friday.
exchange that the trade occurred on.
We have different times available
So
for those.
remember,
I teach on
when we're in
Mondays
the
and
trade
Wednesdays.
tab,
You see the times
you
here.
might see some
So I'll be on later this
the letters
evening at
next
5
to
p.m.
the
Eastern
last, the
time.
bid and the ask.
And these are wonderful. This is where you can tune in. You can sit back and relax and watch, but we certainly encourage you to participate if you'd like.
So this is
And if
just
you have
level 2.
questions,
That's what
just
it is.
chat
It's a
them
more
in.
in-depth look at
How do we use
what
Thinkorswim? How do I put
trades
this trade in? How
are
do I
going
analyze this
through,
stock?
what
Things like
size
that.
they
We'll be
are,
glad to
what
help you out with
exchange
that.
they've got traded on,
But
and other
then
things
you'll
like
notice
that.
that we even share ideas.
Okay.
A lot of our stock
How do you get
trades
out
that
of
we
the
put
side
in,
buttons, Carol?
at least when I teach these, I
You
tend to
click
go in
on
and
it
show
again.
people how to
So this
manage a
level 2, if I
portfolio of
wanted
these
to get
different
out of this
companies.
level 2, I click
Is that
on
we
it and it
analyze them
disappears.
and then show you how we
Click on
trade
it,
them
it
and
brings
how
it
to exit out and how to
Click on it,
manage those
disappears.
trades and monitor them. Okay.
Now,
So certainly encourage you to tune in. Don't be shy about asking your great questions as you're going through
Arnold
these
said
things.
my volume chart is all blue, not green.
All right. Then
So
you should
I
also be
guess
aware of we have some wonderful other
that's always kind
classes.
of
For
feeling
example, we
blue,
had a
not
special
quite
event
feeling
with
happy.
Charles. He
Is that
does
what I
these just a few
understand?
times each
Your
year.
volume?
But last Saturday,
So
we had on Saturday
if
morning,
you
he
wanted to
he's
change
willing
your
to do this
volume
out of his own
color,
home.
and there are
So
some
you get to
things
see
you
him
can
as a person,
change on
right?
here
And so
through
he'll go through
just
and
kind
give
of
us
like the
an idea of what
style
to be
up here.
expecting about the
Okay, you click
markets.
on here.
And then
You
he'll
can change
actually
some of the
opens it up
things
for
that you want to
questions,
look at.
where you, the
But
student, can chat in and talk with
you know, if
Charles
you
and
want to
say,
go
hey,
into
this is what I
settings,
want to
you can
learn more
click on
about, or this
that.
is what I'm
Or
wondering
if you want to
about.
get to
And
the settings
he's very
box,
kind
you
with his
click on
time
the little
to
gear
share
up
that
here at
information.
top
So these are
again.
recorded, where you can go
Brings up the
back and
same
review these
settings
if you'd like,
box.
from
Now,
just
if you
last
wanted to
Saturday.
change the
We
color
also
of
provide our
your
own
volume
workshops.
bars, you'll come
We've
up
got one
to
coming up in, I think,
appearance
another
right
2
here,
weeks
folks.
here. But if I come to
You
our
click on
stock
that,
investing
and then
workshops,
down here at the bottom,
let's see when this is at.
okay,
Yeah,
you
Friday,
have
October
this
20th.
preset
So just
color.
what, 2 weeks away, I believe.
Checked.
So
Okay.
Gary will be talking
So I'm
about
just going to do this. So it looks like
doing a
this.
deeper dive
Probably
fundamental
don't have the
analysis.
moving
So it might
average
be a little
line
bit
on
more
there, but
advanced.
this is
So I
what it
certainly got to
looks
go
like.
through the basics first,
Okay.
but then he'll take, well,
So,
knowing Gary, he might take 5 hours, but we usually take about 2 to
it's
3 hours.
cool. I mean, I
But
like
Gary likes
blue,
going long, but he
but
does
it
a good
doesn't
job
tell
on
me a
that. And
whole
so
lot.
you could tune in
in order to change that,
again, see more of
come back up here,
what I
go
kind of
to
call going
appearance,
full circle, where we take this information on this topic and take it from the basics
if you
and
come
go
up
all the way around, right?
and
To
click
show you how we
on
apply that
color as
in a real life
symbol
situation
pick,
with our trading. And I'm sure Gary
that
will do a
will
great
give
job with
you
that. And
the
these are recorded
red
as well, so you can always go
and
back in. I taught
green bars,
a
and
bunch on the
occasionally you
foundation
might
back in
see a white
September
bar
here.
thrown in there, but that's what gives
All
you
right.
the colored bars. Now, why is that so important? Well, because now, folks, I'm going to zoom in
Great
here a
comment
little
from
bit
Alice saying, hey,
closer.
this went in one ear and out the other to begin
Now
with, but now
you
it's
can
old
just
news and she
tell
gets it. That's
by
perfect. Then that's
looking
great.
at
And
the
then you know that,
color
okay, I'm
of the
progressing. I'm
volume
understanding it.
bar
And
on
that's the
whether
key thing is,
that
like I
was
say,
a
take it in
bullish
steps.
day
Now,
or a
some of you
bearish
might have
day.
asked, well, Rob, I see these other classes like options. Should I be worried about trading options right now?
So you don't
My
have
encouragement
to,
to you
you know,
is to not worry
when you
about
have it
that.
up here
I
on the
certainly
chart
enjoy options
and you
trading.
kind
I
of,
do a lot of
well, wait a
options
minute. If it was
classes
just
here
all
as well, but
blue, then you have to
I
say,
would
well,
tell
this big
students it's not
volume
required at
bar, well,
all.
is that a
I
buy
would
day or is
certainly
that a sell
understand the
day? You have
basics of
to do
stocks
a little bit
first,
more
and then later on, as you
analysis.
feel
You have to try
confident
to
that you're
figure
seeing
it out.
improvement with your
But
trading and
this
with
is
your
just a
investing,
great,
then
quick
yeah, I would encourage everyone to eventually learn
shortcut
more about options,
to
because
show
it
on
helps
this
answer the
particular
question, what do
day,
I
oh,
do
this was
in a market
green.
situation right now when
a
the markets
buy
are
day.
going down?
The price of
Well, we have
the
classes to
stock
show you how you can
was
trade
up
and make
on
money
that
to the
day.
downside.
Red
Most people
day,
don't know how to do
price of the
that,
stock
right?
was
They
down
only
on that
make
day.
money if the markets
And the
go one
white
direction
day, we
up.
don't see this
But when they
happen
start
very
falling over,
often,
maybe we're
especially on
just
the
going to continue to fall down for a little
S&P.
while.
But the
Do I just
white
sit there
day,
and take it
white
and
volume bar, that just
get
means
beat
that the
up?
price
Well,
of the
no.
stock
We can go ahead
closed
and learn
at
how
the
to make
exact
money
same price it
intentionally
closed at the
for the
day before.
downside. And certainly options can be
That's what the
a
white's
great
standing for.
thing to learn more about with that as well.
What's the logic of think and swim to set
All right,
blue as a default
so
color,
we
Gary?
walked through our orientation,
I
our
don't
quick
know.
start process. We talked about our
I
lessons
was
and
not
classes,
privy
the Q&A sessions and
when
workshops.
they created
Oh,
the
well, how do we
platform
contact us? What
to
do we do when we do
understand
have
why
questions?
they picked
Well,
that
the first thing
color.
I would do is I would always attend the
And
Q&A sessions. The reason
it's
why
kind
is
of
that,
weird to me,
you know, sometimes it's difficult to
because
describe or answer a question
the
over the
Think or
phone
Swim
when
creators,
it's just so
folks,
much easier to show you
they
visually.
love
And that's
the
what the
dark
Q&A
background.
sessions will do, right? Is
They
that we can just
love the
walk
dark
through and show you
version
on the
of the
charts
Think or Swim platform.
and
And to me,
identify for you these
that
things,
blue
just so
doesn't,
you can see firsthand
it's
how we
not
use that
eye-catching.
information. So I would
A
attend
little
the
bit hard to
Q&A
see if it
sessions
was
to ask
just
those
all blue. I
questions.
think I thought
But
they
if
would
you're
have made
wondering
it
who
some
to
sort of
contact
different
for
color,
what,
maybe a little
if
brighter
I
to
come
pop
back
out
to
or
our
something. I
site
don't
again,
know.
you can go
But
back up to where it says
yeah, that's
contact
just what
us up at the
they
top.
defaulted it to.
Okay.
All right.
So if
Now, a
underneath
couple folks
contact
are
us,
asking
it's here where we list the places
about
to call. So the
this
first place would be our customer
yellow
service.
line I
So
have
if you
on
have
my
questions about
volume.
your
This is a
billing,
moving
here's the
average.
number for that.
So it's kind
For
of
everything
why
else,
would you
though,
have a moving
kind of
average
as a
on your
starting
volume?
point, I would start here.
Well,
contact the
we use
website
a moving
support
average
if you need
to
help
kind
logging
of
into the
give us an
site or accessing
idea
any of the classes and
if
so forth.
the stock
Start
is
there. They're on the
trading
phones. That's what they're for.
at
I always feel bad
its
when someone
average
emails in and
volume,
says, hey, Rob, I couldn't get into your
lower
class
than its
today.
average volume, or
Well,
higher than its
I
average
can't really help
volume.
out that person if I'm teaching the class
Because a lot of
myself, right?
times
And
we can
so
get entry
contact
signals
people who are available on the phone to help
if
you
we
out
have
with that.
higher than average
Now, if
volume,
you
at
have
least on the
questions
buy
about
side.
a particular
Okay, if the
hotline
volume bar
alert
is
that came
green
out,
and it's
or how
breaking
to
through a resistance
go through the
level,
portfolio
and
approach,
it's
or how to
above the
position
moving
size, things
average
like
line that you
that,
have there,
well, then I would
then
reach
that
out directly
certainly
to
could be
W
used
Street.
used as
Here's their
an
contact
entry signal
information. If you're wondering,
for
yeah, why did
your
Charles recommend that
trades.
particular
If you're waiting for a
stock,
certain
that
thing to
particular
happen,
alert?
breaking through
We
resistance
can
with the
get
volume.
some ideas, but
Now
it's
I
better
have
just
a
go
30
straight to
day.
the
This is
source.
30
So you can
days for
reach
me.
out to them if you
You
have a
can put on
representative
any
there.
moving
Go
average
directly
that
to
you
them.
want, any time
Now,
frame.
if you have questions about your trading
if
account.
you want very
As much
fast,
as I'd love to help
very
you out,
quick,
and I used to be a licensed
you can
investment
do
professional many years ago, I'm no
10
longer
day
licensed. So
moving
legally, I'm not allowed to help you
Maybe
out. In
if
fact,
you
none of
are
us
just
are.
like
And we were all
in and
licensed
out,
at one time.
a day
But
trader.
that's not our job here. We're not
or,
part of the
just
brokerage firm,
planning
so
on
we
being in a
can't
trade a
really
couple
help you
days,
out
you
with your
might want to
Thinkorswim
use
account.
a shorter
So
moving
makes sense.
average.
Go
If
straight
you're
to the
just kinda
source.
like
We're just a
buy and
customer like you.
hold,
So I would just reach
just
out
let it
directly to them,
plot
especially
along.
with
You might use a
Thinkorswim, and they can
longer
help you
moving
out. We
average.
provide their
I
contact
just kinda
information
use
here.
30-day.
Quite honestly, I
It's
think
kind
the
of a
best way,
medium
instead of
moving
calling or
average
emailing them, though,
between a
is if
20
you
and
are able to
a
log
50
into
day.
the site
But
itself,
this is
is
showing
I
you
would just
again
go up to the very top
what the
and
volume
click on the
has been
support chat
over the
bar at the
last
top
30
here.
trading days.
I'll just show you. If I click on
Now,
that,
how do we get this and add this to our
it allows
to
you
our
to
volume
go ahead and
bar?
create a support request, and you just simply
I'm
type
going
in
to
your
come up to
question
the
and
little
say, hey,
beacon
how do
here,
I
folks.
delete this on my chart, or how do I access
Click on
this, or
this.
whatever it may be. What's great is that you're going to the source, right? These are the people that created this,
And
and so they come
over on
online
the
and they answer
left-hand
your question,
side
and
is
if they
what you
need
can
to, they
add
can look
over
over
to
your
the
shoulder
right-hand side.
and see
So
what's
I
going
would
on with
say
your website,
type in
see what the error
simple,
is or
because
what the
there are
mistake is or
different
whatever,
moving averages.
and be able to
There's a
help you
simple,
out
there's
that
an
way. And so
exponential, and then there's also some
I just
other
bring this up because
things
on occasion students will email in and
that you
say,
can
Rob,
use.
I
But
need
for
help
the
with my
most part,
account.
the
I'm like, I
market
can't help you out.
uses
We won't even
simple
answer the
moving
question, right?
averages
So just go
majority of
directly
the
to
time.
Thinkorswim for your
And so
Thinkorswim
just to
questions
that,
there.
click on it, or
All right,
click
and then
and
finally for
drag,
everything else,
or highlight
for the
and add
education,
selected. Now the thing
that's where you
is,
reach
it
out to
comes over
us,
to the
right?
price
Our
right
education
here.
team. If you have questions about investing
Now, if you
strategies and
wanted to, you
techniques,
can click
fundamental
on that
technical
and
analysis,
try to move
again, I
it
would encourage
down
you to go
here
to
to
our
the
Q&A
volume.
sessions, but
That
you can
won't
also
work.
reach out by emailing us. If you call, most likely
Okay?
you'll get our
So
voicemail because
that
we're
will
teaching all
not
day
work.
long.
So
So it's
let
better
me
just to
show you
email
here.
and be
I'm gonna
specific
take
about your
this
question. And I will say that we're
bar
good
off
about
here.
getting back to you, certainly within the same day.
Oh, whoops.
I mean, generally it's
Wrong
never
one.
more
I'm
than
gonna hit
24 hours
delete.
unless it's the weekend
And
before we get back to you.
Okay, so now I don't have my volume on here.
All
Okay,
right.
we'll go back up here.
Great question from
Now I've
Mark.
got
Payne's
this simple
Perspective is a
moving
newsletter
average,
that
right? The
Charles
simple
does
moving
on
average moved
a
it over.
daily
It
or
actually
weekly
went up to
basis,
the
I should
top,
say.
but if
So
you
every
wanted to try and
Monday,
move it
he
down here to the
produces a
volume,
newsletter that
and
goes
thinking
through
that
and
will
talks
work,
about
it is
the
not going
economy,
to.
what the
But
markets are
you'll
doing, what to
notice
be
here
aware of,
that the
and so
moving
forth.
average
And
right
then
here is
we,
9
as
days.
instructors,
Why is it
provide
9 days?
an
Again,
informational class that
remember,
kind of
Thinkorswim was created by active
deciphers that
option
newsletter, if
traders,
you will. And
short-term
these are
types of
taught
traders.
at 1
So they like
p.m. Eastern
faster
time
things.
every Monday
Okay?
afternoon.
So to
And
change
so
this,
if you don't have access to that or wanting
just
to learn more
you can
about that,
either double
I
click
would just
on it or
call into
click
our
on the little
customer
gear
service and
over
they
here
can
on the right-hand side.
describe what
Brings it up.
requires to get access
Now
to
you
that.
can put here any moving average length that you want. You can create one if you wanted to, right? 30 is not a standard moving average.
We've gone through
20,
this,
50,
talked about
and 200
where
are
to
the biggest ones
contact us,
used in the
closing that
market.
gap, the resources
But I
that you have.
use 30.
So how are we going to be doing
Okay?
these
So if I
classes
go ahead
then?
and do 30.
Well, again, they tend to be progressively
There
building.
we go. Now
We'll start
down
over in
here at
about
the
3
bottom,
months.
you can
So I'll be
change the
teaching those
color
at the beginning of the next year
to whatever you
because it'll
want
be
it
the
to
new year
see.
now. This is the last
Whatever
quarter
you
here.
want it to be.
And
I like
this is going to be the
yellow
proposed
on
schedule
mine,
that I'm
so
sure
I'm going to go and
Gary will
put
most
that
likely
back
follow.
to
But we kind
yellow.
of differentiate and do our own thing,
And
which is
you
good.
can change,
But generally what they'll do
the
is we'll talk about the
style.
concepts,
You can
we'll
change
talk about
how
analysis,
thick it is.
we'll go
If
through
you
the
want it instead of
strategies
a solid
themselves,
line, a
whether
dotted
it be buy
line,
and hold, whether it be
or
swing trading,
little
even trading to the downside.
dots, or whatever it might be, you can
But
change it
really our
there.
objective is to have more
And
deeper
then
discussions
I
about
just
that.
kind of go
And
and
during these classes,
make it a
certainly you're welcome
little
to
bit thicker, so it's
ask
easier for me
questions
to
as we're
to
teaching
see.
this so you can make sure that
Okay,
you
then we click
understand it.
OK. Now remember,
I
if you
can't vouch
wanted
for
to
Gary
save
or
it,
the
you
other
click
instructors, but I generally like to show
apply
more
and OK.
application, just like we did today. Instead of just talking
there we
about,
go.
I showed you, we took a stock that you
But I
liked,
clicked
NVIDIA,
OK, and it's not
and showed
there.
you just a quick process of how we might analyze that.
Didn't show up.
May not have understood it, but that's okay.
Okay,
It's just
so I
you're
did
getting
something
prepared
wrong.
to be expecting
Go back
what
to
you're
the
going to be
volume. Let's see
expecting,
if it
what you'll be learning more
disappeared. No,
about
it's
that.
still showing a simple moving
All right,
average right there on the
so with the
volume.
foundational
So it's
concepts,
still
we'll
there,
discuss
but it's not
paper money,
showing up.
order
Why didn't it
entry,
show
we'll
up?
go through watch lists, then the
There's one
analysis,
more
we'll go
step we
through a
have to
quick
do.
fundamental analysis.
Not
And we'll
applied.
talk
I
about the
love that
technical
note tune.
analysis, understanding
You
when to buy and
are
when to be
spot
selling.
on that we always
And
want
we'll
to click
talk about
apply,
the
but if I just
behavioral
click
side
OK,
too, which is equally
I
as
should be able
important.
to use it
Let's face
just
it,
for
there's a
that
lot of
session.
emotions out there with dealing with money.
It's not,
so we'll show you how to help control control those
up
emotions. In fact,
because we
can someone chat
have
with me and
to
tell me just right off the bat,
change
what would be one simple way? It's
an input
well, more
right
simple
here
said than done,
where it
but
says price
what's one way that
close.
we can help
You
control the
need to
behavioral
click
side
on that
of trading?
and then add it to volume.
How do I not trade emotionally?
Then click OK.
I
Now,
get
it
emotional when
doesn't
I see my
matter
stocks doing
whether
this.
you already have it in the volume or
Right?
even if it was up here
Yeah, I
under the
think the key
price.
ingredient here
If you
is
didn't
to
even move it down the
have
volume,
and
you just did it
follow
up here in the
a
price, right?
plan,
I'm gonna click on here, it just
right?
still says
Have some
volume.
rules. Now that plan doesn't have to be
Okay.
set in
So
stone.
click
Certainly
on
mine
it,
is not. It'll evolve as time
apply,
goes by, and as you gain more experience, you can
OK.
fine tune your
Oh,
plan.
look what happened.
But I love that because there are times where,
didn't work.
well, most recently.
Okay.
In fact, let me just show you. Let's just show an application here again.
Go back.
I had a stock trade
average
on Zillow
price. It's on
in our class here.
Okay.
You notice back here.
Yellow, double width. Okay.
You notice how the stock was hitting this resistance over and over and over again.
All right. Oh, I think we might have.
In the beginning of this year, look how volume really picked up. Those are buyers stepping in,
go back to my default
and it came up.
there.
And again, I don't like to buy high.
That's why you always
I'd rather buy low and sell high. So I'd hate to be the person buying here or here. That doesn't make any sense, right? Because clearly the stock had a hard time breaking out above that. But then what's different about this period right here?
We'll click on here.
What's going on right here now?
Instead of a 30, I'm going to add a 50.
Were we hitting the same high?
Get this to work.
Or was something different?
Change this to volume.
Yeah, Brian and Jim Others observed that no, I could see this is a pretty good level of resistance.
And there we can.
But now suddenly we're breaking out above that resistance. Remember how I said it's okay to buy high and sell even higher?
But you can see this.
That's okay if we're finally breaking out. Well, what do we need to have in order to be able to get that to break out above that resistance area?
Okay. 50-day moving.
Yeah, we need some sort of acceleration. In other words, we need more buyers than sellers.
I don't need
after all, they tried here and failed. They tried here and failed. They certainly tried it back here and they failed. So I need that extra oomph, don't I? I need something to push me over the edge or push the stock over the edge.
All right.
And did we get that?
And then whatever stock.
Yeah, look at that volume surge. That's much higher than the volume we had back here.
And I saved
We're back here at these other times. Now here, try to get some volume, but it wasn't breaking out yet.
You may have noticed,
great.
Folks,
so if you had first looking at that, you might think, well, wait a minute,
it has
Rob, this stock's gone from $26 up to $40. I'm too late. That's crazy. I'm nervous about buying at a high.
Saving it as a study.
But if you have a set of rules,
multiple different
then you say, oh, my rules state that if we get a breakout above that high with higher than average volume, I should take the trade. Now, do I know what's going to happen in the future? Can I read the market's minds? Do I just have that innate ability of predicting the future? Of course not, right? Nobody does. And I guarantee you the people on TV, they sure pretend a lot like they do, but they have no clue either. Don't believe them either, right? I'm always amazed how much money they make for guessing, but they don't know. They have no better idea than you do. You can't control that, so don't worry about it. What you can control is that, do I have a rule that says if I have a breakout with higher than average volume, should I take the trade?
Really quick.
Yeah, now I have no idea if it'll be a good trade or not.
Let me go back
I have a lot of confidence in it that not always, but most often times when I do get in a breakout on higher than average volume, that it should be a good investment. Okay, so that's exactly what we did in one of our classes. We took that trade.
Once you create,
got in.
As I said, always
right when we got in, then what did it do? Oh, it started going the other direction, right? Just kind of bounced around a little bit.
How do we save a basic?
But ultimately,
so once you're in here,
look how we moved up. Now it's kind of interesting. Another thing you learn about is that if that was a good level of resistance, we broke out, moved up, then it started to fall down. Oh, what happens here? People start freaking out. What are they doing? They're trading emotionally.
Save, study, set.
You, on the other hand, being the wise and knowledgeable and
then hit save.
Calm and cool and collected investor that you are, you're going to anticipate. You're going to say, okay, if things are going to pull back, I'm not happy about it. Am I going to freak out and sell out, or am I going to understand and anticipate just where the stock may find a new support level? So another rule that you'll learn about is that oftentimes an area of resistance, once broken out, will generally tend to become what? This question's for our more of senior traders here.
Then again, apply.
Yeah, they have that knowledge that oftentimes old resistance will become a new support.
Once you do
that's
that,
powerful knowledge.
Again,
a lot of people just don't know that.
Studies.
Your neighbor doesn't know that.
Well, this is
maybe
where
your spouse or loved ones don't know that, but you do.
Load the study,
or at least you will now. Right. So when we break out, look what happened.
Comparison chart. Boom.
You're looking maybe to buy in again, or at least tell your neighbors to buy in, because that old resistance clearly became new support. Maybe broke down one day, but it bounced around that area.
And then have your default.
So look how we're moving up. Higher lows, higher highs, doing just fine, trading along.
All righty.
Moved up even more and more. Okay.
Then
is there something that's changed?
Disallowed, not able to be chosen. So I have no.
What changed most recently here?
Default button on the toolbar.
Oh, it came down. I could have been looking to buy back in again. Pardon me.
Don't know why, Lou.
But if we're upward trending,
So
how does one define an upward trend?
You
what do we like to see with an upward trend?
You cannot add anything here.
What's a good simple definition of an upward trend? Yeah, you'll see this a lot too, where people chat in. They'll say, "Hey, I'm looking for the series of higher highs and higher lows."
You know what?
Okay, well, as I look backwards, here's a low.
One thing I would
hit a high, pull back, hit a low, but that was a higher low.
The right version,
then went up again,
that you're actually
hit a high, that was a higher high.
Downloaded platform and
came back, still hit some higher lows.
If you are
kind of around the same high. So maybe it was going sideways there, but then ultimately it broke out higher. Hit a higher low, higher high, higher high.
Just can't add
higher low. Well, I don't know. Maybe we kind of hit a low here. So I might have been a little bit wondering at that point. But then what happened right here?
So you're talking about this. You come in here, you can't add.
Yeah, I like to buy and hold on as long as possible. But
a study set.
Why should I hold on if it's going to be downward trending or changing on me?
So
suddenly I've got a lower high.
It's not. That's not
a very good definition of an upward trend.
Okay. We're on the same page.
But then what happened right here?
You and I, we gotta do the mind meld thing here. All right.
Yeah, we start hitting a lower low to go with it.
The reason.
So the opposite of an upward trend, higher highs and higher lows, is lower lows and lower lows, which is a downward trend. Like Steve says, sadness happens. Well, it can be, because we sure enjoyed that trend. But how sad am I? Or do I just follow some rules?
Whether it's there or even here.
Do I have an exit plan?
Load study set. Nothing here.
So what would be a good exit plan?
You have not created a study set yet.
Maybe a breakdown below support. Remember how we got in on a breakout above resistance?
A study set. Then
maybe if I have a breakdown below support,
that you want to
might be my time to say, I don't want to lose all my gains.
Save study set. Give it a name.
What kind of gain we have on that? I forgot about $5.
Then
it's made about $500. It's not huge.
Here,
I guess though, if you look at it from a percentage perspective,
or
to go from 42 up to 48, I mean that's still about a 14% increase. Remember how the Dow is negative for the year now?
Now,
market's actually negative. All your friends and neighbors are negative for the year. You, on the other hand, you're making 14%. But better yet, you're keeping it.
I changed my study set, right?
So when things fell down, okay, so I remind myself I can always get back in one day. But now do we have more of a downward trend?
On here, and you noticed, right? I've got
something like that, don't we? It's kind of funny. It's up today. Market's down,
but percentage. So my comparison
moving up. Okay.
Chart.
So we exit out, lock in our profits, move on.
As dollar amounts
keep an eye on it
because it's comparing
now, just
basically
to give you a glimmer too.
Things have
so we get out if we can see that things are being bearish.
This happens to be something that I'm. It's not McDonald's here, but this is actually something.
Losing my voice for Wednesday already.
The sector
but
ETFs,
if things are being bearish, and this will be well advanced for this class.
Showing McDonald's.
But if I can see that things are changing and breaking to the downside,
that once I go back and
could someone maybe venture out and tell me what kind of strategy might we do to make money to the downside?
Here. And it's like, well, I thought that the default.
Yeah, we could go out and go short.
How do I get to a comparison?
Or, like Jim says, if you're familiar with options, that's where you can go out and buy puts.
Study and compare.
Again, this is more advanced for this class, but I believe that's exactly what we did.
Or just use something else that you want to do.
I went out and bought some puts. What day was that?
It didn't
was on the 15th.
To
the very day we got out.
Version here, right? Dollar amount.
Yeah, here's the 15th. So we sold our shares to lock in our profit, and now we're just trading to the downside.
Up here at the top.
Losing a little bit today, but overall we're up 51% for our put options. Well, that's the fun thing about puts or options trading, is that we can make money to the downside, and you'll learn more about that later on in the future.
And now it changes.
Okay, but I just wanted to show you that, yeah, trade off what we see, right? Don't have to sit there and take it. If we observe it breaking down, we follow our rules, we can intentionally make money to the downside.
A default setting in every way. Okay, good. No, there we go. This is kind of one of the things.
Well, that's just gonna again to kind of give you a glimpse of what you're in store for, and to learn more about in later classes here. So we'll talk about these strategies, portfolio management, not only just buy and hold, but also swing trading or shorter term,
but just some things,
and also a little bit of options, a little introduction to that. Then we'll go through a deeper discussion, recap.
So let me go back up. I know there's some other questions here. I'm not
maybe introduce you to what we call our peer-to-peer spreadsheet, which is a marvelous tool to help you to analyze even more closely.
How do I change the size of the overlays, Deborah? Meaning,
and then they'll probably open it up for other ideas and questions that you can learn more about with that.
Let's just say that I was doing this 50-day
here are your next steps. As I begin by defining your objectives and your goals.
Or the
what is it you'd like to learn more about? And the goal, of course, is to make money, but how do I get there? What do I do about this? And so go through those quick start steps that we talked about.
You can click and drag.
tune into any of our
click and
daily
drag.
Q&A classes to get
You
your
can do whatever
questions
you want.
answered.
So resize it whatever
Big
you
or
want.
small, smart or
And if
dumb,
you
doesn't
wanted
matter
to
to us.
resize
I've certainly asked
and
plenty of dumb
have it
questions in my
that
lifetime.
way
I still do.
permanently, then again, you just
Okay.
go ahead and save it as
But
study set.
we'll
It should
answer those
pop
for
out
you.
that way from
And then to me,
there on out.
just practice, right? Get a lot of practice placing these trades.
So you can
just so you can get the mechanics out of the way, so you don't have to worry about what buttons to click on. So then you can really spend more time focusing on the strategies themselves.
And that'll work for you.
Make your mistakes, right? I hate it when people go into a live account and just jump right in and then make a bunch of mistakes and lose money, because then it shakes their confidence.
Let's see what else
it makes them very timid. And it's like, no, make a bunch of mistakes now, so then you can know what to expect later on. Okay. Let's see. I just see a question about how do we short Carol. We'll have classes on that. You have to have margin capability, but don't attempt short selling unless you know what you're doing there first. But we'll have classes to discuss that in detail there. Is there a hand-holding guideline for defining objectives and goals? Great question. It's very independent, because let's face it, we're all a little bit different, right? We all have different goals, different ages, different time frames, different objectives, different risk tolerances, certainly different temperaments.
See where it's showing up here.
If there was a guideline, I think it would be, being realistic with what you're looking to accomplish, but define it out. Say, do I want to achieve this type of return over a 12-month period, or do I want to just do better in my accounts? Do I just want to become more knowledgeable about things? Start very basic, and then if you need help with thinking, well, is this too, am I being too optimistic or too unrealistic with my expectations? Then we can help set you straight on that. In fact, I'll bring that up. I remember one time a lady said, hey, I'd like to make 100% every year. I'm thinking, well, is it doable? It's certainly possible, but is it very probable that you'll be able to do that every year? And then I say, well, do you know what kind of returns even the professional traders get out there? The hedge funds, the Jim Cramers of the world, even the Charles Paynes of the world, right? It's nowhere near that. And if you could even just get a few percentage points above what the average market return is, can I still build up my account very nicely? And of course, the answer is yes. And so if we have too high of expectations, then you are setting yourself up to fail, because then you'll be disappointed if you don't meet those really lofty expectations that are really out there, right? So yeah, you'll be realistic.
I don't know.
Let's see. The questions here.
If it's not just as simple as something like that,
just scroll back to see if I missed any here.
Might be something to reach out to Thinkorswim on. But that's generally how you will get that up on.
Jim, yeah. So you're talking about what they call the wash rule. That if you're trading within a non-IRA account, if you sell stock for a loss, then if you were to buy it back within that 30-day time period afterwards, then the same stock, you wouldn't be able to count that loss, because you got right back in again.
Default.
Generally, I don't let the tax implications
straight line
bother me if I'm going to get in or out of a stock. In other words, I don't make a lot of decisions based upon the taxes for that.
Where you can change
if you held on that long and had nice gain, then it's still okay to get in. It's just if you have a loss, you don't want to do that if you're really looking to offset those losses with your taxes. That's all.
Good thing to call.
Jenny won't allow that to be our deciding factor.
Sorry about that.
And Arnold, could we have set a trail stop? Certainly we could. That's another strategy that we'll learn about, where we can put in a stop that follows along with the stock as it's moving up higher and higher. One thing you will learn about that, though, the trail stops are kind of tricky, because you get a little bit of volatility. It might kick you out prematurely, only when the stock is moving up. So the biggest challenge is, well, how much room do I give that trail stop? And so here you'll be able to look at the stock graph itself and make your own decision about knowing where to put that stop based upon what you're observing, not just some arbitrary percentage number.
Let's see what else. Gary says, how do you know which is which on a comparison
Scott had a great question regarding support.
So if I go back
to
this,
begs the question of what fundamental support and accelerated to positive. So it's interesting, again, let's face it, in this information age, whenever we read news, it's already old news. And sometimes even the news itself is just unwarranted. Maybe it's just a knee-jerk reaction. Wall Street has this funny habit of selling first and then asking questions later. And again, if we can recognize that, we can benefit from that too. I've seen plenty of good companies that have maybe a good earnings announcement, and they get beat up initially. And then you'll see a few days later where the stock just starts to rebound right back up again. That's because the smart money out there read the news and said, hey, this is ridiculous. The stock shouldn't be sold off like that. People are just being emotional. So they look to buy in at a discount. But it's interesting, when we start hitting the same level over and over and over again, that becomes much more relevant, because it does suggest to us that, Buyers seem to
right
like
there,
this price to
okay?
get in at that level and
Or
not
go to
want
the
it to
very
break down
right-hand
below,
side,
or
then you
vice
can
versa if
start
it's
to
hitting
see
resistance.
some of those colors. And if you just kind of maybe move it up and down, then you can see those as well. But if I just hover my cursor over there, it brings it up, shows you the different lines. That's showing it on
See,
there.
just reading through some of these other things here.
Okay. All right.
Let's see.
There and change
Yeah,
the
root cause of volume. Oftentimes it is just
dollars.
because something came out. And what's kind of cool is that you
All right,
can go
next
in.
question.
If I come back here, at least on this
Better
platform,
nothing.
we have these
Yeah,
different
well, yeah,
tools
again,
or gadgets,
if
as
you
they're
don't have as
called,
many things on there like
that you
I
can
had on there,
select to
it could
have.
be
Like, for
easier
example, you notice I've got
to
live
be
news
easier to see.
up here, and I've got it linked up to my graphs up here. So whatever symbol that I type in, it'll bring up some of the more recent headlines
Arnold
for that
want to put
particular
in
company.
the announcement icons at
Okay,
the
so I
bottom
can
of the
even just
chart
see
like
today.
I have.
It's trading lower, maybe amid
corporate
weakness in
actions
housing-related
right
companies
here.
as stocks fall on
I
rising
think that's what
yields.
you're
Very
referring
generic
to,
statement, but
Arnold, right?
it's true.
So
Right?
if you're
We've seen
if
how
it's
the
not
housing and
showing
real
up,
estate sector's been taking
basically
a
you need to
beating
make
recently. Well, it may not even be any
need to
news
make
regarding that. It
sure
may just
that
be
you
purely
are
technical. That, hey,
have
whatever
a
reason,
stock up that
sellers are stepping
actually,
in, most likely because
you know,
the
it's a
overall
stock,
markets are
right?
pulling
If it's
back.
an ETF,
You know, you
or
kind of
if
consider
it's the
companies
market
like
itself,
Nvidia or even
okay,
Apple.
we'll go back to the
Does
spiders.
Apple stop
SPY,
making billions of dollars
they
every
don't
year?
have these things down here. Why?
They're
Because
still a
it's
very
not a
profitable
company.
company. My goodness, they make billions in every
Doesn't
quarter.
have earnings to report.
And yet
Doesn't have
has
corporate
prevented this stock
actions.
from going down a little
So
bit, simply because, well, the overall
if you
markets are
actually
struggling.
have a stock
Okay.
up, and this is
So
not
if we can
showing up,
recognize that when the markets start to bounce up, generally these guys will be the first to
what you
bounce up too,
do
because we know that they
is
make money.
come
They
up
can still have
to
growth.
your gear again here, or you can go to style settings. Takes you to the same place, the gear. Then you come over
I
to
better wrap this up. I'm just
equity
trying to scroll
right
through
here,
to see what
folks.
else
Click on that.
I might have missed here.
And it says show corporate actions. You need to make sure there's a check mark in that box. If there isn't, put a check mark. Then click apply and then okay. Then it saves it for you. If there is a check mark and it's not showing up,
we've got a great workshop coming up on creating rules.
And it's a stock,
which we talked about, which
there
would be
might
nice.
be an issue.
We've had classes in our intermediate class that talks more about that, but start with the basics.
It'll show up there for you,
and we'll discuss that, and you'll learn that as you go through it.
Like
I say, you got to run before you walk.
Yeah, sometimes
I guess you just got to walk before you run. That's what it is, right?
But generally, I thought
all right. Well, I think I was able to answer, as far as I can see here, the questions that have been chatted in.
And
I appreciate the participation. If I missed your question, I do apologize.
Now,
not intentional, but certainly we'll be glad to answer that later on this afternoon in our live Q&A class. Sometimes we have to crawl, run, fall down, and walk. Exactly. I've done a lot of that in my lifetime too. But that's the key, is to get started and to go through this and get a lot of practice. So I'm excited for everybody here. Like I say, I think your timing is perfect. Honestly, with the way the markets are behaving right now, I've been trading since 1997. I'm used to it. It's like, it doesn't faze me at all. We even talked about this in our class, how to be prepared for when things are pulling back, which they most likely will. We're still in uncertain times, no doubt about it, with rising inflation, rising interest rates. We did have some jobless numbers, or claims that came out that, or I should say payroll numbers that came out today that were a little bit less than expected. Normally that's bad news, but in this market, that's actually considered good news, because maybe if things can slow down a bit, not be as strong as this market has been, or this economy has been, that the Feds will eventually stop raising rates so much. Many are still fearful that we are heading towards a recession. Well, here's the thing, is that by the time that they announce that we are officially in a recession, the markets are already rebounding back up higher. Remember, markets are forward looking. So don't be worried about that either. Right? If the date comes, in fact, I'm kind of looking forward that one day they will say that we are in a recession. Finally, let's get it out of the way, right? That dreaded R word. But by the time they've finally made that official, the markets are already rebounding because they're looking up ahead. And you'll be able to take advantage of that. So I look at this as just an opportunity. Maybe not today to buy in just yet, but now's the time to build up your watch list and to get ready and to learn about this information and be able to recognize the signals. So when things do bounce, then we'll be ready. We'll be able to take advantage of that. So I'm excited for you on that. All
but
right.
with the hard
Well, as
right
always,
edge,
tune into our daily Q&A
maybe it
session.
has an earnings
Gary will be back here next
tomorrow
week. I'd imagine he'll probably be talking
or
about
the next
Thinkorswim
day,
and giving you some more
you
ideas
don't
regarding
want to get
that.
in just before an earnings announcement
But
because
the
it
key is
could
to
create
be up and ready
chaos
and running and ready,
for your
so then you can
positions,
progress
right?
further with
So
these classes. So
we'll
I
just
want
put
to
a
thank everyone for
little
tuning
bit
in. I
of
hope this has been
room
helpful for you
over
today. It's kind of an
here. So we'll go to
introduction.
the time
My
access.
objective was to show you
Now you can
really more
click on it and
application. I
go
think we did a good
500
job of
days.
that. At
I
least I
have
hope
no
so. Or I
clue
didn't just show you a bunch of slides,
why
but we
they
actually
even
jumped
have
in and showed you
500
some
as a
examples
default. Watch this.
and
I
how
go
we analyze
500
and how we
trading days
know
in
when
the
to get out
future.
and
This
get in
takes
and
us
that
clear
type
the
of
heck
thing,
out to
and at least give you a taste
October
of what you're in store for. So
2025.
I'm looking forward to working with you in the future.
But
If I'll see you in my intermediate advanced classes and in my Q&A
I don't know why
classes. So
anybody would need
want to
this
thank
much
everyone.
room,
Have a great
to
rest
tell
of
you
your
the truth.
afternoon.
But again,
And
I
we'll
was
see you
not
back
there
here
when they
soon. Take care,
created
everybody.
all the defaults and things like that. But I laugh every time I see that. So just come in there, time access. You can select one of these, or you can just type in whatever number you want. I like 30 days, apply and okay, and that basically what will bring this up, and you can see any upcoming corporate events. Now, also Gil says extending bars to the right is very helpful when drawing trend lines and knowing what earnings announcements occur. The trend line, yeah. So you can kind of give yourself a projection if the stock continues to move this way. Where possibly could it go? So this is a McDonald's. Yeah, I'm going to draw a trend line, right? Oh, maybe if I draw these high points and it continues to go down there, right? Then I can see how accurate it did or how it might react at some point in the future, or give us an idea of maybe a potential exit point or entry point on a stock we might be watching and seeing what might happen there. So yeah, a lot of useful things that you can have on with this extended bar. Okay. Now, John, you asked how to add a price line to the chart. I thought, was that you or somebody else? I said, they have stuff on my chart. How do I get rid of it as well? Right? I don't remember who asked that one. Oh, yeah, it was Jim. Added drawing buttons and drew some lines. How do I get them to go away? Right? There's a couple different ways. Well, so if you wanted to add something, first and foremost, okay, you can come up here to either drawings. If you don't have it already in the new best friend little tab that you've got there, you can come up to drawings here up at the top, or you can come down here where you have a little icon that is what you currently are using on your chart. Mine is my pointer. So mine's a little pointer right there. You can either click on that, brings up these, or you can click on drawings and go to drawing tools, and you kind of get that same little chart. Okay, so if you wanted to draw trend lines, then you select trend line. Now, if you don't know what it is, just put your cursor, hover it over there, and it will show you what it is. Okay, so if you wanted to do a trend line, click on trend line, and now you just put your cursor wherever you want to start, left click, release, and now you move your mouse to wherever you want that line to go. Now, the trend line allows you to do up, down, sideways, backwards, forwards, kind of like the Wonka Vader in the Willy Wonka and Chocolate Factory, right? It goes everywhere and everywhere you can. And then once you get it to where you want it to be, you click on it again and it sets it. Now, if you do like a price level is just a horizontal line. And then you can do the same thing. You come up here, drawing tools, here, select price level, or come down here, click on it, select price level. And then you start where you want to draw your line by left click and then draw it. Now I have mine that automatically extends to the right. Okay, so it's just an automatic feature. If you don't have it that extends automatically to the right, you actually will need to move your cursor one way or the other to draw your line. But then you can move it up or down. Move it up or down until you get exactly where you want it, and then left click again and set it. Okay. And then, now let's just say you wanted to put that at this line, I wanted to put it at $280. Now I do have it set up where it shows the price of where I set that line and also my extension. So how do we get these things on here? If you put your cursor on your line that you just drew, okay, this line I just drew, do a right click, edit properties. Okay, now it brings up this box. I have my right extension on. So whenever I draw a line, it goes to the right, all the way to the very end of the chart and then beyond. So it will always be there and it'll stay there as the price, as the chart goes from one day to the next day to the next day to the next day. It will continue out into the future. If you don't want that on there, that's fine. You can have it off. You can do it to the left as well if you wanted to. But you don't have to have either on. But it just, for me, I just like to have the extension going to the right. Now, it's also a show price. It probably says do not show. You can, if you want to show the price, okay, then you can click on whether you want it on the left of the bar where it stops or on the right of the bar. I like it on the right, just puts it a little bit closer to the price axis there of where I'm trying to draw my line to. And then there you go. Now, one of the other nice things is that you draw your line, you're trying to get it to a certain spot. Maybe you're trying to get it at 280 or 275. You can't get it just exactly there. You got it close, right? I got it to 279.92, but you can come here and put in the price that you want it to be. So let's just say I wanted to be 240. I can go 240 and hit OK. And watch this line will now pop down to 240 here. See? 240. Oh, wait a minute. I fat fingered. I didn't want 240. I wanted 280. Okay, so let's go 280. Click OK. Puts it at 280. All right. So drawing tools, just again, click on it, see what it does, play around with it. You'll see us in our classes use these lines quite a bit, these drawing tools quite a bit. But just click on them and see how they work for you. Now, if you draw something, you don't want it there anymore. Okay. I don't want this trend line I drew earlier. I don't want that there anymore. Well, if you have multiple drawings on your chart, but you just want to get rid of one thing, put your cursor on that one thing, do a right click, remove drawing. Boom. Now it's gone. If you have a bunch of different things, let's just say, we got crazy with it and, started drawing lines, or you wrote somebody a nice note or something like that. Okay. And you just want to clear everything off the chart. Well, you can. What you do is put your cursor anywhere on the chart. It doesn't have to be on one of the lines. It could be on a blank spot. Right click, clear drawing set. Then it asks you, are you really sure you want to get rid of everything you just drew? Yes. If you don't, it's a mistake, you click no. But if you want yes, boom, now they're all gone. To never return unless you drew them back again. Okay. So there you go. Little bit of housekeeping to make life a little easier there for you. You are welcome, Jim, on that one. Let's see what else we have here. Oh, how do you create the comparison chart and what's being compared? So if you want to create a comparison chart, so let's just say first and foremost that you want to compare McDonald's, since we have McDonald's up here, to the SPDR, the SPY, S&P 500. So we have it up. We have our chart. We have McDonald's up here. We'll go to studies, add study, or you can even go to quick study if you want, but add study. Actually, I'm going to go to quick study. Compare with, come on. Compare with, they do have some things here that you can just compare it to. Now there's the S&P 500 right there that's I wanted to do. Or if you have something else you want to compare it to, then you can click on custom symbol and then you can enter the symbol. And then enter name, please, and then you click OK. Okay. So studies, either quick study or add study, compare with. Let's say I wanted to do it the S&P, SPY. That's the SPX, not the SPY. So I wanted to do the SPY. I'll click on that. I'll go SPY. Click OK. And it brings it up. Now, again, if you want to show it as percentage, because you're kind of more curious at how they've compared to each other over the time frame. So in this situation, it is now it gave you the S&P on the left side and it gave you the stock on the right side. But this is all you're doing. You're comparing it. So in this 1 year time frame, S&P 500, the SPY has returned almost 20%. Okay. McDonald's has lost almost 6%, 5.75% in the year. But the nice thing about this, if you change it to a different time, let's just say 6 months, how have they done in this last 6 months? Well, the SPY has returned a negative 3.5%. Okay, because these are negative percentages here. That's break even and anything above. While McDonald's has lost almost 12% in the last 6 months. So now you can, so I just had one thing on here, right? If you wanted to do more, okay, let's go and go back here, compare with, bring that back up. If you wanted to do more, so for example, if you wanted to compare them to the sectors, right? You can just go XLE, and you start putting the sectors out. XLI, right? XLV, not S, XLV, and so on. So you can type in symbols, as many symbols as you want in there. And it's not, valid character. Now, doesn't contain a valid character. Okay. So you don't put commas in there. You just put on the symbols, click OK. And come on, it's supposed to do them all. So so that's what, and then once you have it set up the way you want it set up, then you can save the study set, and then you can just bring it up like you normally do. Okay. So I'm just showing you some basic things. Anything more in depth involved, you can reach out to Thinkorswim. They'll help you there. Let's see what else we've got here. I'm going to quickly go through because folks, we're up on an hour and a half now on here. Is that hard? That's hard to believe, isn't it? Even something as simple and is going over some of the basics on Thinkorswim. And time still flies when we're doing something, when we're learning something. Let me see. I don't see support and resistance lines on drawings. How do you do those? There's not a setting that says support and resistance. It's actually something, Steve, that you draw yourself. So either with a trend line or a price level is how you would do that. John, are the colors of the volume bars indicative of the number of shares bought or sold, red or green or red, bought green, sold red, and total, or do they represent what the candles show? So in reality, the color of the price is something that will, it's not, well, the height of it, first and foremost. The height of the volume bar shows us how many shares traded on that particular day. And so this is one of the advantages of having that moving average there, to see if the volume is above or below the average volume based off the time frame that you're looking for, or you like to use. In my case, the last 30 trading days. But the color of the volume bar has nothing to do with how many shares traded. It has to do whether the price of the stock was up for the day, red, or down for the day, green. Okay. Now, if you have a different candle setting on your chart, guys, I think the default is just called candle right here. Okay. The default is just candle. And so when you have just the candle on here, every green candle is an open body, meaning the body's not filled in with a color. Every red candle is a filled body, meaning it's filled, it's colored red inside. Okay, I'll zoom in a little bit closer, right? Every single red candle is filled in. Every single green candle is open. The body's not filled in. All right. So if you have this setup like this, and it's just called candle, it's fine. It might be a little bit different look than what you see us instructors use. So your candles might look a little bit different. You might see some different candles, at least as far as the colors, that aren't matching up for you. Okay. It's not matching up on your screen. So if you're just using the candle view, nothing wrong with it, but just keeping in mind the only thing that's causing the color of the candle to be green or red is the price of the stock where it opened for that day compared to the price of the stock where it closed for that day. So if it closed higher than it opened for the day, it's a green candle. If it closed lower than it opened for the day, it's a red candle. Now, again, that information is okay. Not bad. It's okay. But sometimes it's not really reflective of what the stock did. Okay. What do I mean by that? Let's take a look at this candle right here. It's a red candle. And if I put a line straight down, there's a big red volume bar on it there, right? So when we see this red candle right here, the red volume, what do we think that the stock did for that day? Did it go up or did it go down? Yeah, we see red. We think that the price of the stock went down. But guess what? If I put my cursor on the stock the day before, this big green candle, it closed at 292.61 on that day. Okay, 292.61. I'm going to put a line right here. That's where it closed the day before. Almost got it right on. Look at that, 292.60. I was 1 penny off. Okay, that's where it closed on this day. Next day, it's a red candle. I put my cursor on there. It closed the next day at 293.70. Folks, I know this is going to be a tough question. Is 293.70 higher than 292.60? It's higher, but why is it red? It's deceiving. It's deceiving. It's the new math. There we go. It's the new math. Participation trophy. If we just looked at that, you would have thought that you lost money that day. You didn't. You made money on that day. But the reason it's red just on the candle view, folks, is because it closed lower than it opened for the day. It does not take into account anything of the prior day. Now, again, that's fine. If you like that and you use it, that's no problem. But I like to use the candle trend because it really is more indicative of what actually happened on that day in relationship to the previous day, because that's a little bit more important as well. So if I watch what will happen, watch what this candle does right here. I'm going to go back here and change it from candle to candle trend, and boom, it popped green. Why? Well, because that was the day people made money who owned the stock from the day before. Now, you also might have noticed some of these other candles may have changed too. Watch this. I'll go back, candle to candle. You see? All green. These are all green. Why? Because it closed higher than it opened for the day on the candle. If I go back to the candle trend, now they're red. Why? Because they are actually closed lower than the previous day's closes. So it just gives you a little bit more information. Oh, and also, this one it changed the volume from a red volume day to a green volume day. So see how just candle can be a little deceiving, right? If you were just using this, folks, and just the candle version, not the candle trend, right off the bat, oh, high selling volume, down day. Now you have a completely different opinion of what happened on that day than what actually happened on that day. Okay, now again, not saying you have to use it my way, but if you're not using it my way, just never come to my classes again. I'm just kidding. You're always welcome. Everybody's welcome. But it just gives you more information. That's all. And once you just get comfortable using it and seeing it, then right off the bat, now I can look at the volume. Oh, that's a big volume day. It's red. I'm using the candle trend, so I know the stock was actually down on that day. Big candle, big green volume bar here. I'm using candle trend. I know the stock was up on that day. Okay. So Scott, blue gear, chart settings, and equity, show corporate actions checked. I just tested it, checked on, unchecked off. Yes, if you're talking about the corporate actions showing earnings, dividends, stock splits, all that fun kind of stuff. Boy, getting a lot of questions, folks, and we're running out of time here. Gary, how long does TOS keep your drawings on individual charts? Forever. Do they automatically remove them after a number of days? No. They will be there. If you drew something 10 years ago, it would still be there. Let's see. I'm going to see really quick. I'm scrolling down because we're out of time. Yeah, Gary, big database. And we've just spent most of our time just on the chart tab. Have we? Holy moly. Okay. Let's see. Really, okay. John asked a question. How do you show under the monitor tab the sector your current holdings are in to keep within the recommended portfolio? You could do that if you want. So we go to the monitor tab, and you have your positions. Now you have to actually set it up. You can set up and have some different things in here, and kind of group your trades and positions into certain categories if you wanted to. So I'll do this. This will be my last question that I'm going to answer here. I know, again, you can spend 12 hours in this class just kind of going over the basic things, okay? But so if you're going to do this, then you do need to set it up. Now, it's not on this little gear here. Okay, this is not where we're going to, because, you know, I've told you many times, you want to change the outlook, you click on the gear, brings it up. It's not how you do it. But what you need to do is just kind of go up just a little bit above this gear. Can you see where it has like kind of like the bullet points? Click on that. Then you want to click on show groups right here. Okay, boom. Now I've had it set up already where I've now gone ahead and created the sector ET or the sectors. Now, if you want to create the sectors, again, you come back up to the gear, click on that, and then add group. Okay, brings this up. Give it a name. Give it the sector name. Click OK. Come over here again. Add group. Boom. Give it a new name. Okay, and so you put all the sectors that you want on here. Now, they just do not, the stock, when you place your order, place your trade, it just does not show up automatically under these sectors. You still have to put the individual stock into that sector. Okay, you can do it one or two ways. After you have the trade in on the monitor tab, you just click it, do a right click, Apple, right click. It says move to group right here in the middle. Then you just select whatever group it's in. Apple, technology, boom, there we go. Now it's in technology. It's not in my they call it the unallocated anymore. So you can do it that way. Or you can also do it. Let's just say McDonald's. We're going to do a trade on McDonald's. Okay, I'm just going to buy, boom, go to the confirm and send. Right here, you can also do it from your trade box, your confirmation box. Click on it right here. It says account. Click on it and put it in whichever sector or whatever other group that you have to put that stock in. Just select it. What was this? Discretionary, I believe McDonald's is. Boom, send it off, and then when it fills, it'll automatically move into that heading for you. Okay. So I don't want to buy McDonald's, so I'm not going to send that off. So that's what you can do. So monitor tab, click on the little bullet points, select show groups, create your groups or add group, and then do what you need to do there. If you don't want them on there anymore, you don't have to delete everything. You can just take off the check mark from show groups there, and it just puts it back to no allocation at all for you. All right. So we've gone over a lot of things. hopefully it was helpful for even you veterans. Maybe you picked up a little tidbit or two. For your new people, hopefully you're not feeling overwhelmed. Please do not feel overwhelmed. You don't need to know how to do all of these things to use it effectively. For those of you who are going to be joining me in the beginner quick start Q&A class, remember that's just the Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday class for our new students. We'll probably go over a little bit more of this information in that class, but very, very, very lightly, because our topic for today will be how to place a paper trade in that class. So we will do over and go over some more things. Okay. So that's that is, and again, I feel bad if there were some questions in here didn't get answered. There's just so much, just don't have the time to do it. Anytime, folks, Thinkorswim is a great resource to have answer some questions. You know, you can go to the help tab and things along that line. I think somebody said something about the messages. You know, the message tab. That's just when you do a trade, or they're pushing the Thinkorswim is pushing something out that they feel is important to you, right? It'll show up in the message center. It's like, so whenever you do a trade and it fills, you get the little blue boxes up here on the left hand side if you have it set up to do that. But it also shows up in the messages tab. Or if they're saying, hey, the market, something happened in the market today. Now, you know, I mean, it has to be something that they feel is important for everybody, you know, or maybe to you and just personally for you and your account or something along that line. Boom, they push it out to you. That's the message. Okay. But folks, we're going to need to wrap this up. And again, I apologize if there was something specifically I didn't answer for you. Again, it's not my intention to ignore questions. I don't ignore them, actually. I try to answer as many as I can, but time is not our ally always. So I apologize if I didn't get something answered that you were learning to. So let's go ahead and wrap this up for today. Why don't we? Let me go ahead and get my slides back up. I had to close them out while I showed you my little whatever it was I was showing you. I can't remember. Oh, the icon there. All right. So again, if you have any more questions, reach out to Thinkorswim on the Thinkorswim platform. If you have some trading questions, continue coming to our daily Q&A sessions. Our class for today is at 5 p.m. Eastern time. If you can't attend live, you can certainly watch recordings. That's we record all the classes. Or, you know what, this is something that you could do as well. If you want the question answered, you want to see, but you're unable to attend the Q&A, send us an email at our new email address. This is an email address that just got changed over the weekend. All of you should know this email address. You got an email stating that we have a new email. That's our new email address. So if you have a trading question that you say, hey, I want to get the answer to this, I won't be in class, but I want to see you discuss it, we usually will pop those right at the very beginning of the class, and then you can go back and look at it and review it when you have the time. So that's very helpful in that situation. All right, folks, so let's wrap this up. Thank you. Appreciate you spending your Wednesday morning with me. Have a great rest of your hump day and the weekend. I look forward to seeing you in your upcoming classes. Bye-bye now.